Chapter 56. A Storm in the Banquet 1. Dragon Balls were weapons unique to the dragon race. Based on their elemental attributes, they would have different Dragon Balls. Dragon Ball of Fire attribute could burn the skies and cook the seas, while the Dragon Ball of Ice attribute could freeze the world. A strong Dragon Ball was sufficient to change an entire world. Longxuan looked at the glazed Inferno crystal in his hand. He dripped a drop of dragon blood on it before injecting dragon energy into the fire crystal. Soon, he felt a sense of control. Longxuan revealed a faint smile. Through the upgrades used dragon blood and dragon energy, the glazed Inferno crystal started to give off its own glow. The crimson-red glow emitted a scorching hot temperature that could easily burn up a human. With just a change in his thoughts, the Dragon Ball levitated gradually in mid-air. All Longxuan had to do was to instruct with his mind, and the Dragon Ball would start moving rapidly. Great! Through the nourishment with dragon energy, this dragon energy will only get stronger and stronger in the future. Longxuan was pleasantly surprised. Even at this very moment, the strength of this Dragon Ball was very horrifying. Its temperature could be 3,000 to 4,000 degrees. An ordinary man would be turned to ashes upon contact with the Fire Dragon Ball. At this moment, even my body couldn't take it head-on, and a level 7 martial artist couldn't touch it at all. Longxuan thought to himself. With another change in thoughts, he kept the Dragon Ball in his body. Great, great! Excitement filled Longxuan's face. Seeing that Guan Shuqing was still reading the information, he switched on the computer and started playing. Xiaoxian, I'll be heading home. At 5+ in the evening, Guan Shuqing spoke to Longxuan, who was facing the computer. Are you going back now? Do you need me to send you back? Longxuan took down his earphones and asked. It's okay. Guan Shuqing shook her head. Let me know if there's anything, Longxuan said to her. I'm all right. Guan Shuqing smiled, nodded her head, and headed out of the restaurant. It's 5+ now. I should get going at 7 p.m. Longxuan looked at the time. There would be a banquet hosted by Old Qin at Old Shue's 5-star hotel tonight, and he would be going over to take a look. When Guan Shuqing got home, her parents asked her to change into an evening gown and follow them to a banquet excitedly. Guan Shuqing was a little surprised by her parents' behavior. Quick, Qin family will be hosting a banquet at Summer Sun International Hotel tonight, and they have invited us, her father said agitatedly. Considering the state of her family at this moment, they were not qualified to attend a banquet hosted by the Qin family. However, they had surprisingly received an invitation. If Guan Shuqing's father could get to know some friends in the banquet or get into the good books of Qin family, it would be an easy task for him to make a comeback. Guan Shuqing was taken aback by what she heard from her father. Qin family? Summer Sun International Hotel? This made her recall her lunch with Old Qin and Old Shue at Summer Sun Resort in the afternoon. However, she did not read too much into it and couldn't believe that would be true. She changed into the clothes and headed to Summer Sun International Hotel with her parents in advance. Summer Sun International Hotel was a property under the Shue family of Rivertown. When one spoke of the Shue family, the upper social circle often referred to them as Ancient Martial Arts Family, Shue family. They were ranked 5th in the ranking of ancient martial artist families in Rivertown. However, they would probably advance up the ranking by 1 or 2, as the old master of Shue family had recently achieved a breakthrough. As for Qin family, they were the commerce superpower in Rivertown. Qin family's Ancient Dynasty Property, Ancient Dynasty Logistics, and Ancient Dynasty Real Estate were all humongous organizations. The assets of Qin family were over $10 billion. Moreover, the background of Qin family was very, very strong. Currently, the old master of Qin family had a war comrade holding an important position in the government. The brother of Old Qin's wife was a very capable person in the capital of the province. Despite not being an ancient martial arts family, Qin family was still one of the strongest in existence within Rivertown. Even ancient martial arts families wouldn't dare to offend them. For the banquet hosted by Qin family tonight, 60% of the elites of Rivertown would be present. At 7:30 p.m., a heavy-duty motorcycle arrived at Summer Sun International Hotel. There was a row of luxury cars lined up neatly in front of the entrance of the hotel. Wang Xian removed his helmet and smiled as he looked at the luxurious hotel in front of him. It seems that I have underestimated the Shui family. This construction costs of this hotel would at least be several hundreds of millions. Wang Xian looked around before walking in. The 7th story was where the Qin family would be hosting the banquet, and they had already booked the entire 7th story. Wang Xian walked out from the lift and headed to the main hall joyously. "Mister, please show us your invitation." When he arrived at the entrance, the 2 employees were looking at him with weird looks. "Invitation letter?" Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders and replied, "Qin Lianhui said it would be fine as long as I said I'm with him. You could give him a call to check." "Qin Lianhui? Director Qin?" The 2 employees were shocked. One of them took out a phone to verify after taking another look at Wang Xian. "Mr. Wang, this way please." After hanging up the phone, the employee spoke enthusiastically. Wang Xian nodded his head and headed in. "This is Qin family's banquet. Isn't this young man too casual with his dressing? If he could call our director Qin by his name, his background must not be ordinary." The 2 employees conversed softly as they saw Wang Xian off. Dressing? With Wang Xian's acute hearing, he could hear the conversation between the 2 of them clearly. He was shocked and quickly took a look at his attire. He was wearing casual attire from Versace and a pair of white casual shoes. "I do look pretty handsome. Perhaps my attire isn't really suitable for the occasion." At this moment, Wang Xian saw the group of people in the banquet hall who had arrived. The guys were all in suits and the girls were in evening gowns. Looking across, he understood the level of this banquet immediately. Most of the men had watches on their wrists. As for the ladies, they had all kinds of necklaces around their necks. "Damn it, this is my first time attending a banquet like this. I didn't know about these." Wang Xian truly didn't know. He hadn't given much thought about the banquet in the afternoon and headed over directly in his casual attire. "My attire currently isn't really fitting for the occasion here. Forget it. Since this was organized by old Qin, he will know that I'm not being disrespectful to him." Wang Xian shrugged his shoulders and didn't pay too much attention to it. He walked inside in a straight line. He hadn't had his dinner yet. Therefore, he chose to head to a corner to get some food. Isn't that shocking? When Wang Xian arrived at the corner, he was surprised to see a familiar figure. Guan Shuqing was sitting with a middle-aged man and a couple, and they were most probably her parents. Guan Shuqing was wearing a black evening gown tonight. She also had high heels on and exquisite makeup put up, making her look extremely alluring. Wang Xian walked over with smiles. "Shuqing, what a coincidence. You are here too." Guan Shuqing was slightly shocked when she saw Wang Xian after lifting her head. She was also surprised and asked, Xiao, why are you here too?" Guan Shuqing stood up. Her parents, who were beside her, turned their heads around with doubts. They took a look at Wang Xian before looking at their daughter again. Immediately, they frowned. "Daughter, who is he?" Her father frowned and asked. To be dressed so casually in a formal setting, the first impression he had of Wang Xian was that this young man wasn't sensible. Chapter 57. A Storm in the Banquet 2. "Uncle Ani." Wang Xian greeted Guan Shuqing's parents when they looked over at him. After all, they could be his future parents-in-law. Guan Shuqing's father frowned. He acknowledged and threw him a glance before he fixed his eyes on his daughter. "Dad, this is my classmate." Guan Shuqing hesitated. "Classmate?" Her father looked at Guan Shuqing and nodded. Wang Xian was a little stunned, as he could sense that his future father-in-law did not seem to like him. Helplessly, he looked at Guan Shuqing. "I'll sit over here." As he said, he took a seat at the sofa next to Guan Shuqing. "Dad, Mom, I'll chat with my classmate for a while," said Guan Shuqing to her parents as she nodded to Wang Xian. "Sit with us. We're bringing you to meet some people later on," said Guan Shuqing's father, frowning. Guan Shuqing knit her brow, sat down with them helplessly, and smiled to Wang Xian with bitterness. Wang Xian shook his head slightly and gave her a smile. Shuqing, what kind of family does your classmate come from? Guan Shuqing's mother looked at Wang Xian with doubts and asked her. This classmate of mine, Guan Shuqing threw a glance at Wang Xian and answered with some pride, is really awesome, Mom. He's the same age as me, but he already earns millions of dollars. Isn't he superb? Oh, is that so? He's making millions at such a young age? Her mother said in surprise. Guan Shuqing's father was stunned too. He looked at his daughter and asked, what kind of business is he doing? Guan Shuqing chuckled. Dad, Mom, let me tell you this. That's the best part of him. He only has a younger sister, but he relied on himself and became an entrepreneur. Don't you think he's awesome? No background? Her father paused for a moment and frowned again. Nope. He relies on his own effort when he is just as young as me. Guan Shuqing laughed while saying it. Her father shook his head slightly. No wonder he entered this place in casual wear. I guess he followed someone here, but that person did not bring him to network with the rest of the people. Her father was disappointed. A young man who could earn millions was awesome indeed, but without any backings or background, his achievements would be limited. When he saw Wang Xian picking some food and beginning to eat alone, all the more he shook his head. Upon seeing the expression on her father's face, Guan Shuqing was unsure why. Director Wu is here. Let's go, Shuqing. Her father took a glance at the hall and saw a familiar figure. He quickly got up and told them. Guan Shuqing followed behind reluctantly. My future father-in-law seems to have a problem with me. When Wang Xian realized that Guan Shuqing's parents did not even look at himself, he picked up some fruit and started to feast on it. Then he fished out his phone and dialed for Xue Jing, asking her when she would be here as he was too bored. Piak. Suddenly, a loud slap was heard abruptly in the ballroom. Everyone was shocked, including Wang Xian. Wang Xian was toying with his phone when he turned around. Soon after, he stood up with a darkened expression. At the center of the ballroom, Guan Shuqing was covering her face with her head down while her father was standing there with a hideous look on his face. Next to them, a few middle-aged men stood there and watched him passively. His father walked over with a sullen face. Director Wu, Director Gong, Master Bai, Director Song, I'm sorry. I didn't expect she would do such a thing. It was my lack of discipline. I'm sorry. Wang Xian came to the middle of the ballroom as he watched Guan Shuqing bowing down and apologizing in fear. Do you think you can settle this with a slap? My son is lying in the hospital with broken limbs now. Chairman Wu glared at Guan Shuqing coldly. When he knew his son was sent to the hospital in the afternoon, he was shocked. He scrambled his way to the hospital where the doctor told him that the right arm and leg of his son were broken. It would take 3 to 4 months to recover. He raged when his son was immobilized. He learned from his son that everything happened because of Guan Shuqing and the boyfriend of hers. This made his blood boil. He immediately sent people to investigate the specific details and the culprit who beat his son up. Yet, Guan Shuqing had the cheek to greet him just now. If this was not the event of the Qin family, he might just make his move. The rest of the 3 middle-aged men were having the same sentiments as they stared coldly at Guan Shuqing. Guan Shuqing was fearful as he did not expect his daughter would have created such trouble. He trembled in his shoes. Shuqing. Wang Xian walked over and called her name gently. As soon as he saw Guan Shuqing was holding her face, he stretched out his hand slowly and caressed her cheek. Xiaoxian. A teardrop fell on his hand. Guan Shuqing lifted her chin with tears rolling in her eyes. It's all right. I'm here. Wang Xian stroked her face as his heart ached for her. He used the dragon energy to moisturize her cheek. Who are you? Get out of my way. Guan Shuqing looked at Wang Xian first before he stared at Guan Shuqing with a trembling body. I raised you up. It's okay if you're not doing me a favor. Yet, you got into such trouble. I'm telling you, I don't have such a daughter like you. Wang Xian looked at Guan Shuqing and frowned. He then turned and gazed at the 4 middle-aged men. With a cold smile, he said, I was the one who beat up all your sons? What? Before the 4 middle-aged men could say anything, Guan Shuqing fixed his gaze deadly on Wang Xian. You were the one who beat up their sons? Yes, uncle. It was me, and it had nothing to do with Shu Qing. Wang Xian looked at Guan Shicheng and nodded. Great. So it was you. You scoundrel. How dare you hit their sons? You're courting your own doom. Guan Shicheng pointed at Wang Xian with a hideous face. You are just a wild kid without your manner. Guan Shicheng continued as he looked at the four middle-aged men, Master Bai San, Director Wu, Director Gong, and Director Song. It was all his fault, and it has nothing to do with me. On seeing Guan Shicheng pointing his finger at himself, Wang Xian knit his eyebrows tightly. Your daughter is involved in this matter. Master Bai San looked at Guan Shicheng and said coldly. He then turned to Wang Xian. How dare you beat up my son? You are really outrageous. You broke my son's arms and legs. Very well, I'll make sure you repay this tenfold. Director Wu was glaring at him angrily. Chapter 58. A Storm in the Banquet 3. Everyone in the banquet hall was attracted by the commotion and gathered over inquisitively. Wang Xian looked at Master Bai San, Director Wu, Director Gong, and Director Song with indifference and said plainly, I have already beaten them. What do you guys want? How arrogant of you to admit to beating them. Hee. What do you think your outcome will be after beating Master Bai San's son? A young man stood out and ridiculed Wang Xian upon hearing Wang Xian's reply. How? That's a good question. That's a good question. Master Bai San looked at the arrogant Wang Xian and sneered. We are at Qin family's banquet, so I wouldn't do anything yet. Once the banquet ends, I'll let you experience desolation. I'll let you know the outcome of crippling my son. Young lad, I don't care what kind of backing you have. I'll let you experience what is worse than death today. Director Wu stared fiercely at Wang Xian. I wonder who brought this underdressed lad in today. However, I wouldn't care who he is. You will pay the price for what you have done today. Director Song roared at Wang Xian. Who would have expected this lad to be so crazy to cripple the sons of Master Bai San, Director Gong, Director Song, and Director Wu? He must be really eager to die. Yeah. To wear casual attire to attend a banquet, his upbringing must be really bad. He truly deserves death. Even if the people of the four families were to cripple him, it wouldn't be considered overboard. If this lad were to even touch my son, I'd kill him no matter what. The crowd started dissing and criticizing Wang Xian. How could he wear such attire to attend this banquet? In my opinion, we should throw him out. The young man who spoke previously said towards Wang Xian once again. Shut up. Wang Xian sneered upon hearing the criticism of the crowd and the group of arrogant people from the four families. Who the fuck do you think you are? Asking me to shut up? The young man shouted at Wang Xian the moment Wang Xian completed his sentence. He walked to the side of Master Bai San and said, Master Bai San, this kid is really arrogant to beat Xiaoming. Let him know the consequences today. He's really arrogant. It's been a long time since I've seen such an arrogant young man. Master Bai San looked coldly at Wang Xian. Excuse me. Suddenly, a cold voice propagated from the entrance, following which, a beautiful lady walked over. She was in a red dress and had light makeup on her. Overall, she gave off a distant feel to others. Her entrance attracted the attention of many people instantly. Many young men looked towards this figure fervently. The eyes of the young man standing beside Master Bai San lit up as he clenched his fist tightly. The eldest daughter of the Lan family, Lan Qingyue. She's the future successor of the Lan family, Lan Qingyue. The one beside her is the general manager of the Lan family, Lan Gongwen. He is also Lan Qingyue's uncle. The future successor of Deep Sea Jewelry, Lan Qingyue. They are the strongest listed company in River Town and could be considered as the leaders in the jewelry industry in the country. Some people saw Lan Qingyue and exclaimed softly, Hi, uncles, my friend is at fault for this incident. I would like to ask for forgiveness on his behalf. Lan Qingyue looked at Wang Xian, and the cold look in her eyes flickered for a moment. She walked to the side of him and looked towards Master Bai San and the group. What? Why would Lan Qingyue try to protect this kid? What's the matter? Could it be that this lad has a good relationship with the Lan family? The surrounding crowd was surprised. Some people were even looking at Lan Qingyue with shock. Longxuan was also looking at Lan Qingyue with bewilderment. He had not expected to see her at this place and had not expected her to help him. Lan Qingyue turned her head over, smiled at Longxuan and commented, "What a coincidence." This smile was just as beautiful as 100 flowers blooming at the same time. The cold-looking Lan Qingyue had an indescribable charm. "Thank you." Longxuan expressed his gratitude to Lan Qingyue. Recalling that he had rejected her invitation for a meal twice, he suddenly felt a little embarrassed. Lan Qingyue smiled and nodded her head. She turned her attention towards Director Wu, Director Gong, Director Song, and Master Bai San. "Dear uncles, please look past this incident for my sake." Miss Lan. When Director Wu, Director Gong, and the group saw Lan Qingyue, their expressions changed. Deep Sea Jewelry was a large corporation with a market capitalization of close to $10 billion. This was more than 10 times greater than theirs. Even if the four families added their assets together, they still wouldn't be a match for Deep Sea Jewelry. The only one who wasn't wary was Master Bai San. This was because Bai family was an ancient martial artist family and couldn't be measured directly using typical cash value and background. However, Master Bai San still wasn't very pleased. After all, a family that was worth $10 billion would have a complicated and widely connected background. When one's money reached an outrageous amount, it could also be seen as one's strength. "Miss Lan, this friend of yours crippled the arms and legs of my son. Aren't you being unreasonable to ask me to let this go?" Master Bai San stared at Lan Qingyue, but his eyes were flickering. "That's right, Miss Lan. My son was crippled because of him. If I just let this go, how would anyone show us respect in the future?" Director Wu added with a solemn face. "Uncles, I, Lan Qingyue, am willing to compensate for the injuries of your beloved sons. Please don't pursue this matter anymore for my sake," Lan Qingyue said with a determined look. Lan Qingyue's words caused the atmosphere of the surroundings to solidify. No one would have expected that the eldest daughter of Lan family would try to protect this wild lad and disregard the fact that she would be going up against four families. This caused a lot of young men in the crowd to be filled with jealousy. "This lad doesn't deserve this at all." Guan Shiqing's expression also changed as he looked on with disbelief. Director Wu, Director Gong, Director Song, and Master Bai San had a ghastly look. They had not expected that the eldest daughter of the Lan family would be so insistent on this matter, disregarding the chances of offending them in order to protect this young man. This caused them to be very embarrassed by the situation. What's the matter?" However, at this moment, a frivolous voice sounded. A middle-aged man walked over from the inner area of the banquet hall and looked inquisitively towards the center. Everyone was surprised and turned their attention to their back. All of them saw a middle-aged man carrying an apple in hand, eating it while walking. "Second Master Qin. Second Master Qin." Some people in the crowd immediately gave their greetings to this middle-aged man. Second Master Qin was looking a little pale and had serious eye bags. He also looked like a frivolous guy who liked to fool around. When the crowd saw his behavior, they didn't look down on him. Instead, they were addressing him as Second Master Qin with the utmost respect. This was because he was the second son of Old Qin, or an adopted son. Old Qin had a total of 2 sons. The second son was adopted and was the son of a war comrade of Old Qin. After his war comrade had passed away, he asked Old Qin to take care of his son. Old Qin took him in and adopted him as his son immediately. However, this adopted son was arrogant and cocky from a young age and got into a lot of trouble in Rivertown. He even caused the death of some people. Despite nearing his 40s, he still wasn't married and didn't have a child. Rumors had it that he had a strange fetish, and Old Qin wasn't too fond of him. Despite all that, Old Qin valued relationships and had been turning a blind eye to the actions of this adopted son. Although he was an adopted son, he was still the second master in the Qin family. No matter how useless he might be, he was still high above the rest as his identity was known to everyone. Second master. Master Bai San immediately called out Second Master Qin when he saw him. Bai family was inferior to Shui family and was even further behind Qin family. When Master Bai San saw Second Master Qin, he still had to greet him politely. Moreover, Master Bai San had always had a good relationship with Second Master Qin. "What's the matter, Master Bai San?" Second Master Qin asked Master Bai San before biting his apple. "Second Master, please be the judge for us in this matter." Master Bai San explained the whole situation to Second Master Qin. In the end, he whispered something to Second Master Qin. "What? Such a thing has happened?" Second Master Qin looked ahead, and his vision fell onto Wang Xian and Lan Qingyue. "Onish Qingyue, it's better if you stay out of this. This lad deserved the punishment for breaking the arms and legs of others." "Wah!" Upon hearing Second Master Qin's words, the crowd erupted. Since Second Master Qin has spoken, it would be pointless even if Lan Qingyue put in a good word for him. This lad is as good as dead. Chapter 59. A Storm in the Banquet 4. Things changed once again. When everyone thought that Lan Qingyue could shield this lad, Second Master Qin put it to a stop. Second Master Qin was the godson of old Qin. Even though he was not the favorite son, his status was high enough to suppress Lan Qingyue, who had yet to inherit the deep-sea jewelry. True enough, Lan Qingyue frowned slightly when she heard what Second Master Qin said. Second Master Qin observed Wang Xian from head to toe. He then ditched the apple core in his hand into the trash. "Lad, what an insensible lad to come to our function in casual wear. Who taught you to be ill-mannered?" "Second Master Qin, he is my friend. I hope you'll let him off on my account," said Lan Qingyue to Second Master Qin with a frowning look. "Qingyue, we have to be reasonable. This fellow should bear the consequences since he broke the limbs of others. You better not involve yourself." Second Master Qin smiled at Lan Qingyue. "Qingyue," the middle-aged man who has been following beside Lan Qingyue tugged her arm and shook his head. "Since Second Master Qin is involved, you better leave this matter alone. You won't have any control over this." "No way, uncle. He is my friend." Lan Qingyue gritted her teeth and looked at her uncle with determination. The middle-aged man shook his head again. "Qingyue, don't be reckless. You have to spare a thought for the Lan family too. Without Second Master Qin's involvement, we can help." "But—" The middle-aged man shook his head. He could not understand why his niece insisted on helping this young man. If Second Master Qin was not involved, it did not matter at all since Lan family was capable of dealing with this. But the Qin family was the most influential family in the river town. Lan Qingyue had a drastic change in her expression. She looked at Wang Xian worriedly. "This has got nothing to do with him. It was all because of me." Guan Shuqing shuddered as she stepped forward and spoke with determination in her eyes. "Nonsense. All this happened because of that lad and has got nothing to do with the Guan family. Guan Shuqing, I don't have such a daughter like you." Guan Shuqing was trembling with anger as he bawled. "It was I who beat them up. What has it got to do with you?" Wang Xian felt comforted when Lan Qingyue lent him a helping hand, and when Guan Shuqing stood in his defense. He slowly walked to the middle of the ballroom and swept his gazes across Second Master Qin, Master Bai San, and the rest of the people. With a cold voice, he said again, "I did what I did. If things like this happen again, it won't be as simple as this time. Arrogant lad, after you walk out of this door today, I'll make sure you live in despair forever." Master Bai San growled at Wang Xian with a darkened expression. "You're arrogant, heh? Simply too arrogant." When Second Master Qin saw Wang Xian's attitude, he sneered at him. "Why don't we settle this matter now?" A cold smile surfaced on Wang Xian's face as he walked slowly to Master Bai San. "Wang Xian." Lan Qingyue, who was next to him, quickly called him when she saw Wang Xian walking over. There was no response from Wang Xian as he continued making his way to Master Bai San. "How dare you create trouble in the Qin family's banquet?" Second Master Qin's expression turned cold when he saw the menacing Wang Xian walking over. "How dare you play punk in Qin family's banquet? Lad, you're courting your own death." Master Bai San glared coldly at Wang Xian. "He is seeking his own death to act arrogantly in the Qin family's dinner function. Lad, even if we don't kill you, Qin family will not let you off either. Director Wu, Director Song, Director Gong, And the rest of the guests spoke in a low voice while looking at Longxuan. Reckless lad, seeking his own death. The middle-aged man standing beside Longxuan shook his head slowly. All of you are too noisy. I'll destroy you today. Longxuan raged. His anger was not only targeting at Master Bai San and the other three people. It was also because of the father of Guanshu Qing and the Qin family. Old Qin invited me over, and look what his second son is doing to me. What does he take me, Longxuan, for? Is this the way the Qin family treats their guest? A ferocious look flashed in Longxuan's eyes as he stared at Master Bai San. The dragon energy exploded from his body, enveloping Master Bai San and Second Master Qin. Both of them had a drastic change in their expression as they sensed the immense oppression of the young man. Lad, if you dare to fight in Qin's place, I'll make sure you die a horrible death, said Second Master Qin harshly as he stared at Longxuan with cold eyes. You're asking for your death if you strike. I'll teach you a lesson so that you'll learn some rules today. The young man before Master Bai San brightened up his eyes when he observed the situation. In a swift movement, he swung his fist at Longxuan. Gu Qinglong struck. Gu family is an ancient martial artist family that came from other cities. They did not have many members in the family, and their skills were not that formidable, but still, they could not be underestimated. This young lad is simply courting his own death. How dare he strike in the banquet of Qin family? This is as good as slapping them in their faces. He's finished. Just now, Master Bai San and the rest of them did not dare to strike in the midst of the banquet. This lad is just too arrogant. He is seeking a quick way to die. The rest of the guests watched Longxuan as though they were looking at an idiot. You talk too much. Impassively, Longxuan looked at the young man who struck at him. He swung out his fist straight at him. How dare an ordinary guy take my fist? Go to hell. Gu Qinglong displayed a disdainful look. He wanted to prove himself. That was the reason why he was so eager to strike today. He wanted to announce the arrival of Gu family in the river town and befriend the Bai family, another ancient martial artist family. In this case, he could quickly build up his foundation. Ka. His thinking was good, but a bone-cracking sound was heard when the fists collided with each other. Gu Qinglong's arm was broken under the formidable power. Useless thing. Longxuan did not even display 20% of his power. He jeered at Gu Qinglong, who was screaming in pain on the floor. Ah! Gu Qinglong was crying out in agony as he looked frightened. Ah! The rest of the guests let out a gasp and a cry as they saw Gu Qinglong's deformed arm. Longxuan looked at Master Bai San, and a cold smile surfaced. No hurry. We don't have to wait until we leave. We can settle this one by one now. As he was talking, he made his move and launched his attack on Master Bai San. You're asking for it. I will kill you today. Master Bai San clenched his fist with veins popping out. Master Bai San was a martial artist with level 5 strength. He was shocked to see that the young man before him was also a martial artist, but he had no fear of him. No wonder you're arrogant, but you're too full of yourself. Go to hell. With a hideous look, Master Bai San moved like a fearsome tiger as 5 of his fingers turned into claws. Sending me to hell? You are not fit to do it yet. Longxuan looked at Master Bai San scornfully. He lifted his foot and swept it across. Die. Master Bai San stretched his claws at Longxuan's leg. Ka. Bam. Master Bai San felt like he was scratching on a metal surface the moment they collided. Immediately, a mighty force hit his shoulder. Bam! The mighty force sent Master Bai San crashing to the table next to him at a much faster speed. He then landed on the ground and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. You! The moment Master Bai San was knocked down within a split second, Second Master Qin was a little terrified when he saw Longxuan's emotionless look in his eyes. He tried to act tough as he yelled, "Stop it! Otherwise, the Qin family will not let you off. No one dares to provoke us in the river town." You won't let me off? You might want to ask if Qin Guohui dares to say this to me. Longxuan let out a low growl with an impassive expression. The rest of the people were shocked to hear this. Qin Guohui, old Qin. Chapter 60. A Storm in the Banquet 5. You. What an arrogant brat. Second Master Qin pointed at Longxuan and was shivering in anger. At this very moment, old Qin and his family, together with the 3 generations of Shui family, were walking towards the entrance of the banquet hall. You won't let me off? You might want to ask if Qin Guohui dares to say this to me. However, just as they arrived at the entrance, all of them heard this angry roar. Old Qin was completely stunned, and old Shui immediately frowned. Grandfather, that's Brother Longxian's voice, Shui Jing commented quickly upon hearing as his expression turned solemn. Old Qin clearly heard Longxian's voice too. His expression changed quickly, and a worried look hung on his face. Let's quickly get there and take a look. He couldn't understand why Longxian would let out such an angry roar. He couldn't understand why the seemingly amiable Longxian, who he had an enjoyable lunch with in the afternoon, would be so angry. Disregarding the fact that old Shui believed that he had unparalleled horrifying strength, Longxian had just cured his beloved grandson. Their Qin family couldn't make him an enemy. Moreover, even the Qin family wouldn't go offend such a strong expert for no reason. In the modern era, other than the society, there was also an underworld. Although the Qin family was very strong in society, they still wouldn't dare to offend strong experts of the underworld. Old Shui frowned and quickly hurried in. At this moment, the crowd was completely astounded by Longxian's words. Everyone was shocked as no one expected him to shout that Qin Guohui wouldn't dare to say this to him in the Qin family's banquet. Step aside. All of you, step aside. At this moment, Shui Jing's growl sounded from behind the crowd. Everyone who was gathered here was shaken as they quickly looked back. Old Qin is here and old Shui is here too. A middle-aged man couldn't contain his shock and exclaimed. The crowd opened up a path of them automatically. This lad is finished. His death is certain. A weak voice sounded from the side. When Lan Qingyue saw old Qin and old Shui, she couldn't help but feel deeply worried. As for Guan Shuqing, she was dumbfounded when she looked over, following which, joy and relief replaced her initial emotions and were shown on her face. They really are. They really are. She was shaken up. The 2 people who were walking at the front of the group were the 2 old men she'd had lunch with in the afternoon. When she arrived, she was still a little suspicious. However, she didn't dare to think so and assumed that they were these 2 old men. At this moment, all her worries had dissipated entirely. She recalled the attitude of the 2 old men when speaking with Longxian in the afternoon. She was more confident that Longxian truly had the qualification to say what he had just said previously. You're finished. How dare you start a fight and injure others in a banquet hosted by the Qin family? You're finished. My dad is here. Second Master Qin was exhilarated upon seeing old Qin walking over. Longxian's expression didn't change a bit and was still emitting the aura of the divine dragon. He turned his head around and looked towards old Qin's family and the 3 people from Shui family. What a strong disposition. Old Shui could sense the faint aura around Longxian and was shocked. He thought that his strength was probably similar to Longxian after making the breakthrough. However, he felt that he still wasn't a match for Longxian after feeling this disposition. The Qin family and Shui family walked over in a straight line. The surrounding atmosphere had frozen up and no one even dared to take a deep breath. When old Qin heard what his adopted son said, his hand, which was holding onto the walking stick, started trembling. He walked directly towards Second Master Qin without any expressions. Father, he actually dares to, in the banquet organized by us. Arg. When Second Master Qin saw his father walking over, he reported happily. However, before he could even complete his sentence, the walking stick in old Qin's hand had landed ruthlessly on his leg. Crack, crack. The walking stick made of solid wood broke directly. One could easily imagine how furious old Qin was. Father, why did you beat me? Second Master Qin's face turned pale as he grabbed onto his leg and spoke in horror. Haze. Old Qin suddenly heaved a sigh. When your father passed away and handed you over for me to take care of, I saw you as my biological son. However, you have repeatedly. I have always turned a blind eye to your actions, but you didn't learn your lessons and committed so many heinous acts under the name of our family. There will be a day when our family might get into serious trouble because of you." Old Qin threw his walking stick onto the floor. Lin Hui, transfer Rivertown mining grounds to his name. From this day onwards, he would have nothing to do with our Qin family. No matter if he is dead or alive, it has nothing to do with the Qin family. Our Qin family isn't blessed enough to have him. Old Qin's strong words propagated throughout the banquet hall. No one could have expected this development. Second Master Qin was directly expelled out of Qin family. This, however, what shocked the crowd the most was Old Qin's bowing down slightly as he spoke to the young man. "I'm sorry, Brother Wangxian. I'm sorry. It's because of my loose teachings that you had to suffer. Brother, don't be angry. Hug. Little Kite looked at the solemn-faced Wangxian and said as he walked in front of him and raised his arms. After witnessing the attitude of Old Qin and the cute little Kite, a smile appeared on Wangxian's face. He reached out his arm and carried little Kite. "Old Qin, it was I who was impulsive. Sorry for causing you troubles." Old Qin heaved a huge sigh of relief upon seeing Wangxian's expression. He smiled. That's great. As long as Brother Wangxian doesn't blame it on this old man." Wangxian smiled and replied, "I was impulsive. I hope you wouldn't blame me." "Haha." Old Qin laughed out. "Old Shui and I were a little late. Sorry about it. Brother Wangxian, come. Let us take a seat now. I'll definitely give you a good explanation for what happened today." Wangxian smiled. "Grandfather, I have found out about the incident." Shui Jing returned immediately after going over to a service attendant to find out more. Subsequently, he repeated the whole event softly. It seems like it's still about the incident in the afternoon. By family?" A murderous intent flashed past Old Shui's face. "In that case, I shall use by family to establish our dominance. As for the rest, I'll leave them to Qin family to settle." "Yes, father." Shui Jiahua nodded his head and looked to Qin Lianhui. Qin Lianhui nodded his head and headed directly to Director Wu, Director Gong, and Director Song. As for Shui Jiahua, he walked over to Master Bai San, who had crawled up. "Father, no, this can't be." At this moment, Second Master Qin was mumbling to himself in a daze. He couldn't believe that what had happened was the reality. If he left Qin family, who would he be in Rivertown in the future? And at this moment, the crowd in the banquet hall had their attention focused on the young man who was carrying Old Qin's beloved grandson. They were completely lost. They would have never expected things to end up this way. Second Master Qin was expelled from Qin family, and that young man could make Old Qin bow down to apologize? They quickly looked towards the future successor of Qin family, who was heading towards Director Wu, Director Song, and Director Gong. They then looked at Shui Jiahua, the future pillar of Shui family. Eventually, they turned and saw Director Wu, Director Song, Director Gong, and Master Bai San. Their faces had turned pale, and they seemed to be scared out of their wits. Chapter 61. A Storm in the Banquet, 6. Master Bai San, the arm of your son was broken by my son. Serves your son right for offending the benefactor of Shui family. In the ballroom, Shui Jiahua walked towards Master Bai San and stared coldly at him. Master Bai San was trembling as he looked at the young man between Old Shui and Old Qin. A bitter smile surfaced on his face as he looked embarrassingly at Shui Jiahua. From the exchange just now, he knew that he had provoked the wrong people. The strength that the young man had exploded just now was definitely coming from someone whom the Bai family could not afford to offend. "But you are equally wicked." After Shui Jiahua threw out his cold and harsh remark, he punched out at Master Bai San's shoulder immediately. Upon seeing the attack from Shui Jiahua, Master Bai San wore a different expression, but he did not dare to resist. Old Shui from the Shui family was thought to be a dying person. Yet, he had suddenly recovered and made a breakthrough in his level. This reshuffled the rankings of the ancient martial artist families in Rivertown. The Shui family was already more formidable than the Bai family. Now, They had become people whom they could not afford to provoke. Kaka. A bone-cracking sound was heard from the ballroom. Everyone was horrified to see Master Bai San lying on the floor as he hugged his arm in extreme agony. Your broken arm shall serve you a lesson. If you have any grievances, the Shui family will answer all of them, said Shui Jiahua coldly to Master Bai San. Everyone was shocked to watch the fearsome Shui Jiahua. Director Gong, Director Song, Director Wu. On the other side, Qin Lianhui came to them and looked at those millionaire directors. Director Qin? They quickly addressed him. At this time, cold sweat was breaking on their foreheads with eyes full of horror. Mr. Wang is a guest of the Qin family, Qin Lianhui said emotionlessly. We were also there in the afternoon when it happened. We were planning to give you a warning tonight. Qin Lianhui was speaking impassively as though he was talking about a trivial matter. Yet, the directors could not help but to shake in their boots as they knew that it was the end of the story for them. Director Qin, we were wrong. I really didn't know. If I had known, I would have killed that unfilial son of mine. Director Wu almost went jelly as he bowed with his shaken body. Leave Rivertown now and don't let me see you again. Qin Lianhui gestured, annoyed at them. Their faces turned black when they heard what Qin Lianhui said. Yet, they were in such despair that they had nothing to say. Asking them to leave Rivertown was equivalent to asking them to give up their foundation over here. But they were powerless to put up any resistance because this was the decision made by the Qin family. It was all my son's fault for offending someone that he shouldn't. The three directors clenched their fists and walked out like zombies. There was no place in the entire Rivertown for them. Master Bai San also left with his face full of despair. Anything that took place in the society would have to be resolved within the society. So were the underworld matters. Even though Bai family was not asked to leave their base in Rivertown, the Shui family would forever be pressing on them. Bai family would not be able to obtain some resources in the future. Throw him out. As Shui Jing spoke to one of the hotel staff, he stepped on both legs of Gu Qinglong at the side with force. The surrounding crowd could not help but shiver when they saw the happenings unfolding. They were glad that they did not intervene or jeer at that young man. But those who spoke ill of that young man were standing there with their hearts in their mouths. Second Master Qin, the adopted son of old Qin, had been expelled from the Qin family. Master Bai San of the Bai family had gotten his arm broken by Shui Jiahua. Gong, Song, and Wu family would no longer have their foothold in Rivertown. Gu Qinglong of the Gu family, who had helped Master Bai San, would only have a tough life in Rivertown. All these were results of offending the young man. They stared blankly at the young man who was talking jovially with old Shui and old Qin. No wonder he did not regard the Gong, Wu, So, and Bai families highly. No wonder he dared to come to this banquet in casual dressing. He did not have to care, and he had no need to care about any of them. This symbolized power. Aren't old Shui and old Qin in casual wear too? At this moment, Guan Shicheng, who was in the middle of the crowd, was in a daze. He was looking in disbelief at the young man who was sharing a jovial conversation with old Shui and old Qin. The thought of the young man addressing him as uncle with smiles on his face. The thought of him treating the young man coldly, scornfully, and even. He regretted it very much. If I could reverse everything, I would surely hold on to him. Definitely. Why did this happen? Guan Shicheng felt restless. It was such a good opportunity for the rising of Guan family again. At this time, he saw Director Qin walking towards him. He was slightly uptight and fearful. Miss Guan, niece Lan. Guan Shicheng noticed that Director Qin was walking towards his daughter. Uncle Qin. Lan Qingyue answered politely. Director Qin. Guan Shicheng nodded to Qin Lianhui. They had been having lunch in the afternoon just now. I'm sorry, Miss Guan, to have let you suffer some injustice. Director Qin apologized to Guan Shicheng. No. Guan Shicheng quickly shook her head. With Xiaoxian around, I didn't suffer much. Right, there is Wang Xian around. Qin Lianhui laughed. He turned to Guan Shicheng and smiled. Director Guan, we will discuss your matter later. Director Qin, Guan Shicheng was stunned. Upon seeing the other party's smiling face, he suddenly got excited. He looked towards his daughter and thought of some possibilities. Piak, Piak. Guan Shicheng walked to his daughter and slapped himself on his face. Girl, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. Don't blame me. When Guan Shicheng saw her father walking towards her, she was feeling complicated. She sighed softly. After all, this was her father. Dad, I don't blame you at all. Guan Shicheng shook her head. I'm glad that you don't blame me. I'm glad to hear that. Guan Shicheng nodded with a smile. He hesitated before he asked, Girl, what's the relationship between you and that young man? When Guan Shicheng posed that question to Guan Shicheng, Lan Qingwei was also anxious to hear the answer. Friends, we're just friends, Guan Shicheng replied, knowing what her father was thinking. Just friends? Guan Shicheng was a little disappointed. He was hoping that the young man could be the boyfriend of his daughter and his son-in-law. If that were the case, who would dare to offend him, Guan Shicheng, and the entire Guan family in the future? Chapter 62. A Storm in the Banquet, End. I'd like to go over and say hi to two friends of mine. Old Qin and Old Shui, please have a chat now. The banquet continued as per normal. Although the atmosphere had changed a little, the impacts weren't that great. After informing Old Qin and Old Shui, Wang Xian turned his attention to the banquet hall and headed towards where Guan Shicheng and Lan Qingwei were. Feeling the intentional and unintentional gazes from the crowd, the edge of Wang Xian's mouth started to arch up. Chairman Lan, thank you. Wang Xian saw Guan Shicheng was talking to her parents, and thus went over to Lan Qingwei to express his gratitude first. Just a while ago, Lan Qingwei had to endure the huge pressure from the crowd to put in good words for him. Lending a helping hand when one was in need was tough, while sucking up to one when he was basking in the light of success was easy. She belonged to the former. He was a little surprised that Lan Qingwei had chosen to help him, but was also grateful to her. Lan Qingwei, who was in a red evening gown, looked extremely alluring under the warm lights of the banquet hall. While wearing high heels, she was approximately the same height as Wang Xian. Her beauty couldn't be appropriately described with words. You're welcome. Lan Qingwei looked at him with fervent eyes. As compared to their previous encounter, she felt that the strange quality of Wang Xian had gotten stronger by a little. It's too heartbreaking that you have rejected my invitation for a meal twice to thank you for the previous incident. Lan Qingwei looked at him and recalled his rejections. She couldn't help but comment unhappily. Hee. Wang Xian laughed awkwardly. I've really been a little busy in the last 2 days. However, if you would like to have a meal together, you can come to my restaurant. I'm staying there for almost the entire time each day. I could also give you a treat. Your restaurant? Great. Upon hearing his reply, Lan Qingwei revealed a faint smile and nodded her head. In that case, we have a deal? Yeah. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. Just beside them, Guan Shicheng felt his head aching when he saw Lan Qingwei and Wang Xian chatting. He naturally knew who Lan Qingwei was, as she was the future successor to the Lan family. Her family wealth was among the top 3 in River Town currently. Moreover, there was nothing one could pick on about Lan Qingwei's looks. Within the entire River Town, she was at the highest level. Seeing how she had tried to protect Wang Xian a while ago, he was able to tell something from it. When it came to looks, he was confident that his daughter wasn't inferior to Lan Qingwei. However, when it came to family background, the difference was stark. It was especially so after what he said previously. At the thought of this, he started to regret further. He wasn't just feeling regretful, but also feeling a sense of danger. If his son-in-law was snatched away, it would be pointless for him to cry over it then. Guan Shicheng's expression was changing constantly. He was thinking of ways to get on the good books of Wang Xian, and also to make up for what he'd done previously. Guan Shicheng saw Wang Xian and Lan Qingwei chatting joyously and was feeling a little uncomfortable about it. After finishing his chat with Lan Qingwei, Wang Xian turned his head and smiled at Guan Shicheng. He walked over and asked, Shicheng, are you all right? I'm fine. Guan Shicheng nodded her head. She looked at him and said, Thank you, Xiao Xian. You don't have to. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head. Son-in-law, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I was wrong in the incident previously. It's all my fault. Please forgive me. At this moment, Guan Shiqing came over shamelessly and spoke with a sincere face. He was even calling Wang Xian his son-in-law. Wang Xian was taken aback, and so was Guan Shiqing. He had not expected Guan Shiqing's father to be so shameless. Father, what are you calling him? Guan Shiqing's face had turned red while speaking to her father. Hee. Guan Shiqing continued smiling and said to Wang Xian once again, I was foolish and timid previously. Please don't take it to heart. Wang Xian was speechless while looking at Guan Shiqing. The current him was completely different as compared to when he first saw Wang Xian. What an opportunistic person. Wang Xian wasn't too calculative with him, as he was Guan Shiqing's father after all. However, he wasn't being too close and friendly with him either. He shook his head, smiled, and replied, It's all right, as long as you are fine with it. Have a chat with Shiqing first while I get some food together with her mother. Come over to our house for dinner when you're free. I'll get my wife to make you some delicious food. Guan Shiqing could feel that Wang Xian was keeping a distance from him. However, he was rather thick-skinned and spoke solicitously. Wang Xian nodded his head. Sure, uncle. Great. Guan Shiqing heaved a huge sigh of relief. He turned around and walked towards a woman by the side. Xiao Xian, my father is a little. I hope you don't mind, Guan Shiqing said as she looked at her father. It's fine. Wang Xian smiled and shook his head, after which he turned to Guan Shiqing and said, This is Lan Qingyue. Shiqing, I believe you know her too. Hello. Lan Qingyue looked at Guan Shiqing, smiled, extended her hand and greeted. Hello. Guan Shiqing also looked at Lan Qingyue and extended her hand. A special force field was formed between the two of them. When the young men in the banquet hall looked over and saw these two gorgeous ladies, they couldn't help but feel slightly shocked. At the same time, they were envious of the teenagers standing beside them. You girls are really charming. Feeling the surrounding gazes, Wang Xian smiled and complimented them. Junior Shiqing is really beautiful and has attracted everyone's attention. Lan Qingyue smiled and commented. It's senior's charisma that is stronger. I'm still a long way behind. Guan Shiqing replied immediately. The atmosphere was slightly strange. Haha, both of you are beautiful. The insensitive Wang Xian didn't notice and simply complimented the two girls. This caused the two girls to break into laughter while looking at each other. Wang Xian, I have to go greet some people with my uncle. Don't forget that you will be treating me to a meal. Lan Qingyue smiled and said to Wang Xian. All right, go do what you have to. Wang Xian nodded his head. Subsequently, Wang Xian chatted with Guan Shiqing for a while before heading towards where Old Qin and Old Shui were at. Old Qin introduced him to some people in River Town. There were businessmen and also officials working in the government. For a guy that could make Old Qin bow down to apologize, they naturally wouldn't dare to be lax and entertaining as they were full of smiles while conversing with Wang Xian. Through this banquet, Wang Xian obtained a lot of name cards. When he walked out of the banquet hall, it was already 11 o'clock at night. After bidding goodbye to Old Qin, Old Shui, Lan Qingyue, Guan Shiqing and her parents, Wang Xian rode his heavy-duty motorcycle towards school. As the cold wind blew on him, Wang Xian was feeling very comfortable. After today, he could be considered as having a strong foothold in River Town. What would come next was to strengthen himself. The moon was bright and Wang Xian was heading back to school on his heavy-duty motorcycle. The trees along the pathways were moving past him rapidly. There were barely any other people or cars left on the roads. Just as Wang Xian was coming to a curve, a black shadow crashed towards him. Screech! Wang Xian was slightly shocked and immediately slammed on his brakes. Sharp grinding noises propagated as the motorcycle's wheels scratched against the road. Chapter 63. The Five Elements Stone Plate. Bam! An old man who was soaked in blood fell on the road in front of him. Cough. The old man looked up. With a pale-looking face, he looked towards the trees and bushes at the roadside with a despairing expression. "Imo Qinglong, you can't run away. Hand over the thing now, and I'll let you have a peaceful death." Soon after, an angry bellow was heard. Wang Xian saw 8 men rushing towards his side. They were like the martial arts experts on the television, who leaped onto the tree branch and landed on the road in front of him. The 8 of them were dressed uniformly in black costumes. The swords in their hands were flickering with cold radiance under the moonlight. A middle-aged man in the center stepped forward and glared coldly at the elder on the ground. Green Lotus Ancient Sect, the so-called decent sect, stooped to using despicable and shameless resorts just to steal the treasure from the ancient fiend clan. The old man stood up slowly with hideous expressions on his face. "Haha, the ancient fiend clan has always been up to no good. We are going to uproot your clan and finish off all the assassins that the clan has cultivated. We're doing this for the good of the people. Imo Qinglong, don't ever think of escaping today. Hand over the 5-element stone plate now." The middle-aged man in the center was glaring at the old man with immense killing intent. He stared at the chest area of the old man with greed in his eyes. "Unless you kill me, you bunch of hypocrites will never ever get it." The old man was covered in blood with numerous cuts on his body. His clothes were getting soaked in his fresh blood. "Then we'll kill you." The middle-aged man in the center had an impassive look. He looked towards both sides and commanded, "Kill him. We must get the 5-element stone plate." "Kill." The rest of the 7 members nodded and launched swift attacks at the old man. One of them suddenly looked up and fixed his gaze on the spot where Wang Xian was. "Count yourself unlucky today." As he spoke, he flung his arm and hurled a dagger at Wang Xian. Without looking at him, the man turned to attack the old man. In his opinion, Wang Xian could be considered a dead man. It was an unexpected misfortune to any commoners. Wang Xian was about to take his leave when he saw what happened, but his eyes could not help but narrow when he saw the dagger flying towards him. How tyrannical of them! "I'm just a passerby." Wang Xian squinted his eyes as he looked at the incoming dagger. He stretched his arm out. Piak! The dagger was easily grasped by Wang Xian. Back in the fight, the old man was besieged by 8 people, and soon, he took another 2 slashes on his body. The old man's strength should be around level 8, and only the middle-aged leader is on par with him. The remaining martial artists are all at level 7. Radiance flickered in Wang Xian's eyes. He got down from his Harley motorcycle slowly and gazed at the 8 people with a cold look. "If it were not for you who wanting to kill me, I would have never interfered in this. But now, it's a good chance for me to test my skill." Wang Xian curled his fingers into a fist. He was wearing his helmet, but he was not afraid that someone would recognize him. Ka ka ka. The dagger in his hand was crunched into a ball and discarded on the floor. "I'm just a passerby, yet you guys wanted to silence me. Fine. If that's the case, let's have some fun." Wang Xian moved as he talked. He sprang into action and attacked the closest middle-aged man. "Courting your own death. Qingwen and Qinglai, kill him." The middle-aged leader was looking cold as he commanded loudly after Wang Xian dodged the dagger and attacked them. "Lad, never did I expect that you're a martial artist too. However, you are bound to die today." The 2 middle-aged men, Qingwen and Qinglai, took themselves out from the joint attack of the old man and looked towards Wang Xian. Immediately, they made a counterattack. Heh. There was only coldness in Wang Xian's eyes. Even though he had a good temper, his killing intent was triggered when he met a bunch of people who wanted to kill him without any reason. The 2 middle-aged men wielded their sharp and long swords at his chest and throat. "Have a taste of my physical power." The dragon energy in Wang Xian's body surged. He stretched out both his hands and grabbed the 2 sharp swords. "Die!" The 2 men looked at him disdainfully as they spun the long swords in their hands. "Go to hell." Piak piak. However, what shocked them was both swords were caught, and their attacks were stopped. Ka ka ka. Oh no. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they noticed the long swords in their hands were giving way. Die. Wang Xian hurled himself forward, and attacked one of the middle-aged men. He had not learned any martial arts before and had little experience in real-life combat. However, the power and speed of the divine dragon were insurmountable. He held his fist tightly. With his mighty strength, he swung his fist at the middle-aged man who was looking shocked and horrified. He wielded his sword across his chest for defense. Ka! The sword broke when the sound was heard. The domineering force struck onto the chest of the middle-aged man. Bam! The middle-aged man felt as though his chest had exploded. His eyes were protruding out as he stared at Longxuan with disbelief. Damn, we met an expert. The other man who witnessed the instant death of Qinglai was horrified. Hence, he quickly called out. Didn't you guys say you were going to kill me? Longxuan lifted his head and stared ferociously at that middle-aged man. Like a raging beast, he struck an attack with brutal force. Green Lotus Sword Dance. That middle-aged man was horrified to see Longxuan charging at him like a raging beast. He wielded the long sword in his hand, and an image of a green lotus appeared before him. The green lotus was carrying a bone-chilling cold radiance with it. Fancy but impractical. Despite seeing the green lotus sword formation, Longxuan did not have the slightest hesitation. He continued punching his fist out. Ka. When the sleeves on Longxuan's arm were torn, it sounded like shattering glasses. Blood traces could be seen on his arm, but they recovered almost instantly because of the mighty divine dragon's body. No, when the middle-aged man let out a devastating scream, Longxuan's fist already landed on his chest. Immediately, his chest sank in, and he collapsed on the floor. Damn, Qingwen and Qinglai got killed. The devastating screams from Qingwen and Qinglai drew shocking exclamations of those middle-aged men who were attacking the old man as they watched in disbelief. Initially, they thought they killed an ordinary passerby just to conceal the secret, but no one expected that he was a formidable martial artist who killed 2 level 7 martial artists instantly. Level 7 martial artists were experts who could establish an ancient martial artist family in this world. I was only passing through this place, and yet, you guys wanted to kill me. Then don't blame me for it. Let's see who will win today. Longxuan stared at the remaining 6 people. All he wanted was to fight. He wanted to find out how strong he was now. Chapter 64. Dragonians. Haha, great. When the old man under siege saw that Longxuan had slayed 2 members of the Green Lotus ancient sect, his eyes lit up and he got excited. He looked to the middle-aged leader and started laughing. Shame on the Green Lotus ancient sect to claim to be an orthodox sect but ambush an ordinary person in order to silence him. Yet, you would have never expected him to be so strong. Haha. Brother, thank you for lending me a helping hand. If you can help me eliminate this group of sanctimonious people, I will give you what they are trying to snatch away from me. The expressions on the 6 middle-aged men's faces, who were cornering the old man, changed drastically. They had never expected themselves to encounter this situation. They had been used to being arrogant and thinking nothing of killing an ordinary man. However, they had never expected Longxuan to be so terrifying. The middle-aged leader held the knife firmly in his hand and stared at Longxuan with bloodthirst. This is between the Green Lotus Ancient Sect and Ancient Fiend Clan. I hope that this brother wouldn't interfere, and we would reward you handsomely after everything. Kill? Longxuan wasn't shaken at all by the words of the middle-aged leader. He had zero affection for the 6 people in front of him and charged directly towards the one who was closest to him. Kill. Even if I, Imo Qinglong, was to lose my life, I want all of you to die with me. When Imo Qinglong saw Longxuan make his move, his eyes lit up. The black aura around him started surging violently. Disregarding his injuries, he charged and attacked towards the surrounding 6 people. Shit. When the middle-aged leader saw them attacking, his face turned gloomy. You guys try to pin down Imo Qinglong while I go and take care of that brat? Yes, sect leader. The other 5 people gripped their swords tightly and set up a sword formation towards Imo Qinglong. Do you think the 5 of you are enough to trap me? Even when I'm severely injured, you guys still aren't a match for me. The dark hair of Mo Qinglong was flying freely, and the dark aura around his body was surging towards the surroundings. At the other end, Wang Xian revealed a heavy look upon seeing the middle-aged man attacking towards him. He realized that the speed of the middle-aged man was slightly quicker than him. Martial Artist Level 8. I wonder if my body could withstand an attack from a Level 8 martial artist. Wang Xian had a gloomy look. With his current strength, he could go against and kill Level 7 martial artists. As for Level 8 martial artists, he wasn't certain. Nonetheless, he wasn't fearful. Die, you damn brat. The middle-aged man moved the sword in his hand, and a cold glow pierced toward Wang Xian. So fast, Wang Xian was a little shocked when he saw the sword of the middle-aged man. Adjusting his body posture, he dodged to the side. Can you dodge this? The middle-aged man looked at Wang Xian with disdain and swung his arm across. SSS. The sword cut along Wang Xian's arm and left a 3 inches long wound on it. However, the wound wasn't deep, but looked severe. Indeed, a Level 8 martial artist could injure me. Seeing the wound on his arm regenerating gradually, Wang Xian looked towards the middle-aged leader with alertness. You don't know anything about martial arts techniques and you dare to mess with us? The middle-aged leader knew Wang Xian didn't know any martial arts technique with just a look. He looked at him with disdain and said, "You can die now." As he finished his sentence, the sword in his hands moved in a mesmerizing manner. In the end, countless sword shadows intersected together to form a sharp sword that slashed towards Wang Xian. Poof! Wang Xian took a deep breath as he saw the sharp sword slashing towards him. If he was hit, he would definitely be severely injured. However, he felt no fear at all. Let's see how powerful the Dragon Ball is. He opened his mouth slightly, and a quail egg-sized Dragon Ball flew out of his mouth. It was burning in crimson-red flame and flew towards the middle-aged man at a horrifying speed. What is this? The middle-aged man was shocked when he saw a fireball-like object flying towards him. He immediately swung his sword and slashed directly at it. With a change in thought, the Dragon Ball made a creepy curve and avoided the sword. Instead, it landed on the arm of the middle-aged leader. Arg! A horrifying shriek pierced through the night. To the horror of the middle-aged man, the little fireball-like object had landed on his hand and was quickly disintegrating his body. In just a split second, a hole appeared on his arm. Terror overwhelmed him when he noticed that his chest area seemed to have been cooked. It was cooked under the intense heat. The middle-aged man's eyes were wide open and were filled with disbelief. He stared towards Wang Xian, and his eyes were filled with despair. If you try to kill others, be ready to be killed. Wang Xian spoke slowly to the middle-aged leader. With just a thought, the Dragon Ball went through the body of the middle-aged leader. In that instant, the body of the middle-aged man was turned into dust. Nope. Under the high temperature, not even ashes were left behind. Controlling it with his mind, the Dragon Ball flew towards the other 2 corpses. When it went through them, nothing was left. Shit. Sect leader is killed. At this moment, a horrifying shriek propagated from the side. They had never expected their sect leader to be killed. Their gazes swept by Wang Xian, and their bodies were trembling in fear. Why the hell did we mess with this expert? Haha, all of you shall die too. Mo Qinglong saw them being distracted. Instantly, the black gas around him surged more violently and swept towards the 5 of them. Shit. Arg. No. Several horrified screams filled the air. The 5 middle-aged men were defending hopelessly. However, they were all slain by the old man. Cough, cough, cough. Mo Qinglong spat out blood after slaying the 5 middle-aged men. He was barely holding up as his body was emitting its last stretch of vitality. He was on the verge of death. The escape and desperate counterattack a while ago had exhausted all of his life force. Thank you, brother. With all his might, he tried to maintain his posture and revealed a pitiful smile at Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked at the old man and started to frown. Cough, cough. Mo Qinglong coughed violently and spat out blood once again. He grabbed something from his waist slowly and said, This is what those orthodox sects try to snatch from us. Since they didn't get it, I shall give it to you, brother." As he finished his sentence, Imo Qinglong fell to the ground directly, as though he had expended all his strength. Wang Xian looked at the old man quietly. Suddenly, he had an idea, walked to the side of Imo Qinglong and carried him up. As the Dragon Ball swept through the battling scene, the surrounding corpses vanished into the thin air. Looking at the baggage in the old man's hand, Wang Xian carried the old man and sat onto his heavy-duty motorcycle, after which he rode towards the seaside. At the seaside, Wang Xian carried the old man and jumped into the water directly. He didn't transform into a divine dragon and simply swam towards the sea. In less than 20 minutes, Wang Xian arrived at the deserted island where Clam Girl was at. Wang Xian threw the old man on the ground. Looking at him on the verge of death, Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. "As a divine dragon, not only do I need to have marine subordinates for my dragon palace, but I also need to have my own force in the mortal realm. Regardless of whether it is in the seas or on land, I want my name to send fear throughout." Wang Xian stared fervently at the old man. He was thinking of building a force in the mortal realm. "This old man shall be the first human general, Dragonian." Chapter 65. Evolution. 5 Elements Divine Dragon 1. Dragonians were also known as the Dragon Servants. Dragonians represented the power of the divine dragon in the human world. The purity in Dragonians' bloodline would determine the limitation of their strength and capability. It was rare for divine dragons to develop into Dragonians except for those dragons with low purity bloodlines or the offspring of divine dragons and humans. Dragonians were powerful. Those that attained great achievements in their cultivation could even transform from humans into dragons. Of course, it was an arduous thing to do so. The development of Dragonians and marine animals was somewhat similar. The only difference was the speed of their cultivations. Not only did the Dragonians cultivate slower than the marine animals, but they also had to cultivate according to their own physique conditions. That is, they had to work step by cultivating their 8 extraordinary meridians first. However, this was not required from the divine dragons. Divine dragons just needed to absorb dragon energy to evolve and strengthen their physical bodies. That is to say, the human cultivation technique was invalid for Wang Xian. Gazing at the old man who was at the verge of his death, Wang Xian stretched out his hand. The golden drop of blood which appeared in his palm dripped on his glabella. Suddenly, the head of the old man jerked. "If you wish to live, absorb it and don't resist it," Wang Xian said to the old man upon seeing his resistance. The old man calmed down, and the blood of the divine dragon entered his brain. An agreement was formed, and the old man had to serve Wang Xian as his master from now on. "Let's heal him first." On seeing the completion of the contract, Wang Xian smiled and placed his palm against the chest of the old man. Streams of immense dragon energy entered his body. The old man was obviously stretching himself way too far, as all his internal organs were barely functioning. Hence, his body quickly absorbed the nourishment of dragon energy. At the same time, the golden dragon blood flowed through his entire body, making him in possession of the bloodline of divine dragon. Both the dragon blood and dragon energy caused the old man to develop tiny dragon scales on his body, which made him look formidable. After becoming a Dragonian, his defense ability and vitality would increase by 2 to 3 folds. A strong Dragonian could upgrade his arms into dragon claws and bring out his own dragon tail for combat purposes. Wang Xian thought to himself. As he felt the internal energy circulating in the old man's body, he suddenly had an idea. For humans to make a breakthrough in their 8 extraordinary meridians, they had to work step by step before they could advance. What if Wang Xian uses his own dragon energy to help him with it? Would that speed up the cultivation? Without the slightest hindrance, Wang Xian pondered. He hesitated, but he tried to direct his dragon energy to the old man's 8 extraordinary meridians. Currently, only his conception vessel and governing vessel were blocked. Once they were unblocked, he would become the inborn expert. An inborn expert was good enough to lead a force. Longxuan sensed where his two vessels were and tried to unblock with streams of dragon energy. Bobo. A subtle sound came from the old man's body while his internal energy was circulating frantically within him. It works. Sharp radiance flashed in his eyes. After depleting over 100 points of dragon energy, he really unblocked his conception vessel and governing vessel. If I could unblock someone's meridian, that means I can build a powerful army in the shortest possible time. Longxuan was excited. Just then, the old man who was lying on the floor suddenly sat up. His expression changed drastically, and his eyes were wide open when he learned something new. He raised his head slowly and looked at Longxuan, who was beside him as his body trembled. Dragon King. He bowed. Thank you, Dragon King, for bestowing a new life to me. I'll lay down my life and fight for you. Imo Qinglong was shocked, excited, and full of disbelief. According to the information in his mind, he had become an immortal Dragonian. All this was given to him by the legendary Dragon King before him. You may rise. Longxuan was pleased with the respectful Imo Qinglong. Yes, Dragon King. Imo Qinglong stood up and stayed by the side respectfully. You're my first Dragonian subordinate. In the future, you'll also become the leader of the powerful Dragonian army. Now, you'll need to find a batch of loyal subjects so that I can upgrade them to Dragonians, said Longxuan to Imo Qinglong. Yes, Dragon King. Leave this to me. Imo Qinglong hastily answered. I was the elder of the ancient Fiend clan. Our clan was in hot water after we obtained the treasure, 5-element stone plate, by chance. All the disciples of the ancient Fiend clan were killed except for a bunch of assassins who hid themselves during their training and escaped the calamity. But they aren't any powerful assassins. Just ordinary people. Oh, really? Sharp radiance flashed across his eyes. It doesn't matter even if they are weak. Just gather all of them first. Yes, Dragon King. Imo Qinglong nodded his head obediently. Is this the 5-element stone plate that you mentioned? What's the use of it? Longxuan picked up the bundle on the floor and opened it. Yes. Imo Qinglong nodded his head as he stared at the bundle with fiery eyes. The 5-element stone plate is a very magical treasure. So far, we have not fully grasped its functions. We only know that cultivation speed can increase by 5-fold with this around. It can also heal injuries, which makes it powerful. Oh, really? Longxuan opened up the bundle, revealing the 5-element stone plate. This? Suddenly, Longxuan's eyes were wide open as he looked at the stone plate in front of him. The stone was glimmering in 5 different pure colors, namely the gold, green, white, red, and yellow. The 5-element source stone marked the source of 5 elements. Wood fuels fire. Fire creates earth. Earth bears metal. Metal collects water. Water nourishes wood. Extractable dragon energy. Energy is too high to be extracted. The 5-element source stone. It's the 5-element source stone. Longxuan's body shook with excitement. The so-called source stone was the origin source which represented a form of limitation. For example, if Longxuan practiced fire attributes, his body would transform into the origin of Inferno when he mastered the 9th transformation of 9 divine dragon transformations. He could easily control all the fire in the world with his mind. And the origin of Inferno was represented by the red portion on this 5-element source stone. Same goes for the water and metal attributes. According to the art of cultivation of divine dragon transformation, the divine dragon must choose an attribute when it masters the first transformation. Subsequently, it must cultivate according to its attribute. But there was a legendary attribute known as the 5 elements attribute. It was the most powerful attribute of all, as 5 elements reinforce and counteract each other. Relying solely on the cultivation arts to cultivate 5 elements attribute was not enough. It would require a treasury auxiliary, and that is the power of the origin source of attribute. At the same time, the auxiliary must possess the integration power from the inborn origin source of 5 elements attribute that almost doesn't exist in this world. Longxuan stared at the 5 elements source stone passionately. The 5 colors were connected to each other, exuding a magnificent and imposing power. I'll merge this stone with my body and proceed with the 5 elements cultivation. When I master the first transformation, I will become the legendary 5 elements divine dragon. Chapter 66, Evolution, 5 Elements Divine Dragon, 2. The 5 elements source stone couldn't be devoured as Longxuan wasn't able to absorb the energy within. Carrying the 5 elements source stone, Longxuan jumped into the water directly. Roar! A dragon roar propagated through the seas. Longxuan sat on the seabed and scratched the 5 elements source stone with his dragon claws. Evolution, 5 Elements Divine Dragon. Longxuan shouted softly. The 5 elements source stone was emitting 5 different colored lights as it entered Longxuan's body gradually. In that instant, his body glowed in 5 different colors, and his body was no longer just gold in color. Evolution, 5 Elements Divine Dragon. A voice exploded in Longxuan's mind, and his dragon's body started cracking. His body was growing at a rapid pace from 3 meters to 5 meters. Moreover, the color of its body was also undergoing major changes. His head was blue, the color of the water. His pair of claws and dragon horns were golden in color. His body was a dull shade of yellow with a tinge of green. As for his tail, it was red. His entire body reflected the colors of the 5 elements: metal, water, wood, fire, and ground. Longxuan felt that his dragon claws seemed to have been completely turned into metal and were capable of splitting metal and shattering stones. His head could control the flow of water, and his body had a thick defense with strong regeneration capability. As for his tail, it was filled with violent power. There were 5 different types of colors connected to one another, complementing and restricting each element. Roar! Longxuan couldn't help but let out a dragon's roar which resounded in a radius of several dozens of miles. All the marine animals within this range were all looking towards his direction in horror. Some of them were even trembling in fear while lying flat on the seabed as though they were paying respect to Longxuan. So strong. I'm so strong now. Longxuan could feel the destructive strength that filled his body. Looking across, he could see all the living animals in a radius of 1 kilometer and all the marine animals within several kilometers. With just a thought, he could control them. Absolutely horrifying. Name, Longxuan. Race, 5 Elements Divine Dragon, able to transform into a human. Level, 6. Dragon Energy, 564, 421/100, 000000. Superpower. Dominate the marine animals, ability to rule any marine animals that are lower than your own level. Devour any form of living, for extraction of dragon energy. 5 elements control. Art of cultivation, divine dragon transformation. My level increased 3 times to level 6 and I got a new superpower. Longxuan's eyes lit up as he felt his unprecedented strength. With a body of 5 meters, he was considered rather large in the seas. Moreover, with his current strength, he could easily kill any types of sharks. In fact, he could even kill a school of tiger whales. 5 elements control. With a thought, he opened up his dragon claw and a sharp metal longsword appeared in his hand. When he opened his mouth slightly, a ball of water appeared from within. When he swayed his tail slightly, the scorching temperature that was emitting from the tail could reach the might of the dragon ball. I'm so strong now. Even if I encounter an inborn expert, he wouldn't be a match for me. Longxuan was filled with confidence. From here onwards, he would also be an existence that could rule over an area. Dragon King. At this moment, Clam Girl, who had been around, swam over. She opened her shell and revealed her human form. Haha, I'm in a really good mood today. Here is some dragon energy for you. Longxuan looked at Clam Girl and revealed a smile. With a wave of his golden claws, a stream of dragon energy entered Clam Girl's body. Thank you, Dragon King. The Clam Girl shivered and absorbed the dragon energy rapidly. Her form was getting closer and closer to a human, and the shell behind her was emitting a blinding glow. At the same time, her level had increased to level 7. Roving girl, did you catch any top-quality seafood over the last few days? Wang Xian asked Roving girl. Dragon King, I found some abalones as you described near this island. Moving her body, she controlled the water flow and pointed to a direction. Oh, abalone? Wang Xian revealed a shocked expression. Bring me over to take a look. Yes, Dragon King. Roving girl nodded her head. As she moved her body, she went ahead and led the way. Wang Xian moved his tail slightly. His current speed was horrifying in the seas currently, and few marine animals could match his speed. A 5 meters long 5 elements divine dragon was starting to have its majestic look. Under the island was a patch of chaotic rocks. Clam Girl led him towards the opposite direction where Wang Xian came from. In that direction, green seaweeds were all over the surface of the rocks. Dragon King, look, the abalones that you've described. Clam Girl pointed to an abalone in the cracks between a rock. She controlled the flow of water and swept the abalone towards her directly. This is two-headed abalone. When Wang Xian saw the abalones in front of him, his eyes lit up and revealed a shocked expression. An abalone is considered a two-headed abalone when just two of them weighs a catty. Two-headed abalone was a very rare and precious animal. A single two-headed abalone would fetch at least $400,000 to $500,000. Even so, one might not even get one with money. This was something that an ordinary rich person could eat. Wang Xian looked to Clam Girl with joy and asked, Are there more of these abalone?
Yes.
Clam Girl nodded her head and swam to the side. Controlling the water flow, she swept an even larger abalone over. This? Wang Xian was speechless when he saw this abalone. It was at least the size of 2 palms, had a heavy and thick shell and dull yellow flesh. One-headed abalone. Oh my gosh, this is a one-headed abalone that is worth several million for one. Wang Xian was exhilarated. He opened up his claws and held it with his own hand. Abalone. This was the highest quality ingredient available. Just this abalone alone would be more than $2 million. Moreover, it would at most be enough for 2 people. $2 million for a meal? Who could have afforded it? Roving girl, get me all the abalone in the surrounding area, Wang Xian ordered loudly. Roving girl nodded her head. Moving her body, she started to catch the abalones within the cracks of the rocks. Soon, 20 to 30 abalones appeared within the area she was controlling, among which there were several one-headed abalones and two-headed abalones that were similar to those in Wang Xian's hand. There was one one-headed abalone and 4 two-headed abalone. As for the rest, they were either 3-headed abalones or 4-headed abalones. Dragon King, this is a portion of the abalones. In less than 10 minutes, abalones were densely packed around Roving Girl. There were approximately 100 of them. Great, that's enough. Wang Xian was overwhelmed. Among the abalones in front of him, there were approximately 5 one-headed abalones, 15 two-headed abalones, and the rest were 3-headed abalones or 4-headed abalones. If I placed these in the restaurants, it would definitely cause a commotion. These are one-headed abalones and two-headed abalones that are close to impossible to find within the country. Wang Xian recalled a piece of news that he had seen. Someone dried a two-headed abalone and preserved it under perfect conditions, after which he used it as a family heirloom. From this, one could see the value of a two-headed abalone, let alone a one-headed abalone. Lobsters and abalones. If I could get some Chinese bahaba fish and Atlantic bluefin marlin, it would be perfect. At that time, no restaurants would be able to match the top-quality ingredients of first-grade restaurant. Chapter 67. Established Dragon Sect. In the ocean, Wang Xian swayed his enormous body and swam out hundreds of meters away in a single move. He headed towards the spot where the roving lobster was at. Roar! A dragon roar was heard in the area filled with messy reefs. All the marine animals in the region were shuddering. Soon, roving lobster, with a pair of 2 meters claws, swam quickly and lowered himself. My respect to the Dragon King. Wang Xian looked at the level 4 roving lobster and drew his lips. I'm here to enhance your strength for your cultivation. Thank you, Dragon King, the low-intelligence roving lobster said gratefully. Wang Xian swung his arm and instilled a stream of dragon energy into the body of roving lobster. Ka. The roving lobster gave off frying sound from his body. His body did not grow any bigger, but all his legs, including his claws, grew muscular. His pair of large claws, as sharp as razors, were about 1.5 meters long. His legs were about the same size as the human ones. Slowly, the roving lobster stood up. With a height of 2 meters, 2 out of 8 legs were supporting his body. The rest of them looked extremely strong and durable. The 2 claws located on his head were exuding mightiness. This was the authentic roving lobster general. The roving lobster upgraded to level 6 after Wang Xian transferred 100,000 points of dragon energy. Compared to a martial artist, a level 7 martial artist was no match for a level 6 roving lobster. Guard this land of lobsters. That would be sufficient. Sharp radiance flashed across Wang Xian's eyes. Thank you, Dragon King. The roving lobster knelt again and said with gratefulness. Carry on with your cultivation. After leaving his instruction, he made a move and headed towards the island where Mo Qinglong was residing. When Wang Xian swam out of the water, Mo Qinglong immediately walked over humbly. Dragon King. Okay. Wang Xian nodded and asked, when will your subordinates be arriving? Dragon King. They will be here in no time. Mo Qinglong answered with respect. In no time? Wang Xian looked at Mo Qinglong with astonishment. So fast? Dragon King, they were receiving military training. I called them just now, and they were not far away from the river town. Now, they are on their way. I believe they will be here soon. Mo Qinglong replied. Oh. Wang Xian nodded his head with sharp radiance in his eyes. He looked at the shore where a ship was sailing towards them. Are they here? Mo Qinglong looked over and nodded his head. Yes, it should be them. Where did their ship come from? Asked Wang Xian curiously. Dragon King, as an elite assassin, getting a ship is a piece of cake, Mo Qinglong replied. Great. Wang Xian displayed a satisfied look while he waited quietly for the ship to arrive. Gather here. When the ship docked, Mo Qinglong called out. Master. A surprising voice was heard. Soon after, a middle-aged man, along with a team of young men, ran towards him. Come here, Mo Qinglong said in a low voice. Yes. A group of people crowded around. Wang Xian swept his gaze across the people and noticed 50 fit and muscular young men. They were standing there uniformly without making the slightest sound. A chilling, killing aura exuded from them. This bunch of people was not strong because they were from a sub-branch of the ancient Fiend clan, and none of them had learned ancient martial arts. Besides, at their age, their meridians would have stiffened up. It would be extremely difficult to do any cultivation. Only the middle-aged leader was a level 6 martial artist. This is the Dragon King, and he will be your king from now on too, Mo Qinglong told the 50 people. The middle-aged man leading the team revealed a shocking expression as he looked at his master. I'll take you to another world. Wang Xian walked to the center slowly as the dragon power gradually encompassed everyone. Boom! After the encompassing of the dragon power, the entire world seemed to have undergone a drastic change. Infinite oppression was suppressing them. Dragon King. This group of well-trained assassins was horrified. They, including the middle-aged man in the lead, quickly knelt down on the ground. All of you shall not resist. Wang Xian swung his palm, and 50 drops of dragon blood emerged in his hands. He flung his arm and sent the blood to each of their glabellas. Everyone was horrified and dared not resist when they saw the skills he displayed. Next, I'll unblock your 8 extraordinary meridians. During this period, you'll focus on your cultivation. In the shortest possible time, cultivate yourself to the inborn realm and become invincible masters. Wang Xian swung his arm and injected a large amount of dragon energy into their bodies. He closed his eyes and unblocked all the meridians. Unblocking their meridians would not make them inborn experts immediately. they would still require absorbing spiritual energy. However, their absorption speed would increase by 100 times after unblocking their meridians. Roar. After all the meridians were unblocked, they let out a soft dragon roar. All their clothes were torn into pieces by the domineering force. Faint dragon scales were attached to their bodies. Thank you, Dragon King. After everyone absorbed the dragon blood, they clutched their fists tightly with excitement on their faces. They knelt, and their voices echoed through the sky. From now on, you'll be the security of the Dragon Palace, and will be known as the Dragon Sect from the Dragon Palace. The entire Dragon Sect would be led by Long. Longxuan ordered them. Yes, Dragon King. Long knelt down before him thrillingly. Find a base camp for everyone to cultivate. Longxuan nodded and said slowly, Dragon King, why don't we make this place the base camp of the Dragon Sect? Long suggested while standing up. Here, Longxuan observed the surrounding. The entire island had a size of 3,000 meters. The surface area was enough, but the island was too bleak. It would take a lot of money to transform this place into the Dragon Sect. Longxuan slightly frowned. Dragon King, we have some funds here, just enough for us to establish our base camp. Long was exhilarated. Besides, my strength will reach the inborn realm soon. Till then, we can apply for this island to be the base camp for the Dragon Sect. Great. Longxuan's eyes glimmered with sharp radiance. I'll leave the Dragon Sect to you. I hope everyone can become inborn experts in no time. Everyone will become an inborn expert within 100 days. Long guaranteed. Since we've got your bloodline, we can even strive for a more powerful level 2. From now on, Long from the Dragon Sect, will clear all the obstacles in your way. Everyone will worship the Dragon Sect. We will make Dragon Sect well known in the world and clear all obstacles for the Dragon King. Everyone will worship the Dragon Sect. The rest of the Dragonians at the back roared with passionate eyes. Longxuan swept his gaze across all the people. He bellowed to the sky, roar. The roar symbolized my arrival, the arrival of the 5 elements divine dragon, Longxuan. I'll definitely soar to the highest point in the world. Chapter 68. A Dragon or a Worm. Early in the morning, a figure flew out of the seas. That's right, it flew out like a deity. Naturally, the word flew might be exaggerating. Nonetheless, Longxuan was able to jump over 10 meters in a single leap. Since his level had increased to level 6, his body had integrated the 5 elements source stone and had 5 elemental attributes of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth in his body. Longxuan's strength was 100 times stronger. With a flick of his finger, a spark appeared within his hand. Moving it again, it was a metal dagger this time. Subsequently, there was a fireball, a block of earth, and a piece of wood. However, what Longxuan found the most interesting was that he could grow beautiful flowers on his palm with just a thought. This was the strength of the 5 elements and showed why the 5 elements divine dragon was the most horrifying. Longxuan retracted his aura with a face of smiles and walked to his heavy-duty motorcycle. He rode it and headed towards First Grade Restaurant. When he reached First Grade Restaurant, it was already 9:30 a.m., and Guan Shuqing had arrived. Xiaoxian, have you eaten? Guan Shuqing looked at Longxuan with loving eyes and asked sweetly. Despite being upset by her father's actions during the banquet, she felt fortunate to have Longxuan with her all along. Currently, her family would likely rise again with the Qin family providing assistance. Moreover, her family would grow to be even stronger than before. Her parents were exhilarated and wanted her to grab hold of the opportunity to become Longxuan's girlfriend. Although this made her speechless, she was secretly happy about it as her parents were no longer against her being together with Longxuan. I haven't. Have you eaten? Want to head out to grab some food? Longxuan smiled and asked. I have already eaten. You could go by yourself. Guan Shuqing looked at him and smiled. Longxuan nodded his head and headed out. The traffic on the old street was huge. Even though it was a morning in the summer, there were still quite a number of pedestrians in the surrounding area. Wang Xian looked around before heading towards a breakfast shop. Longxuan restaurant will be opening in 5 days. Sir, please come and take a look. At this moment, a girl walked to him with a flyer and handed it to him. Longxuan restaurant? He took the flyer from the girl's hand inquisitively and took a look. Longxuan restaurant will be opening in 5 days. On the day of the opening, everything will be sold at 50% of the original price. Subsequently, it will be 60% on the second day, 70% on the third day, 80% on the fourth day, and 90% on the fifth day. Longxuan restaurant mainly sells all kinds of seafood and definitely has more variety than first-grade restaurant. We have all kinds of valuable and precious seafood. At that time, we will be selling two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi, delicious caviar, and Australian lobsters. We welcome all guests to visit and taste our exquisite and delicious seafood. We would also be giving out attractive prizes. Wang Xian looked at the advertisement flyer in his hand before lifting his head to look at Longxuan restaurant, which was just a short distance away. At this moment, the renovation of Longxuan restaurant was complete. Looking at its exterior, it wasn't inferior to first-grade restaurant at all. In fact, it looked a little more luxurious, as it was a newly renovated restaurant after all. Everything at half price on opening day 5 days later? Claiming to have a wider variety of seafood than first-grade restaurant, Wang Xian's eyes flickered and a faint cold smirk appeared on his face. Isn't this our director Wang? What's the matter? Coming to learn more about your competitor? At this moment, a teasing voice sounded from beside him. He turned his head over and saw a young man followed by 3 other guys. The lips of the young man curved into a smile when he saw Wang Xian holding onto the advertisement flyer. Wang Xian looked at the young man and gave a cold smirk. I don't have to resort to finding more about your restaurant. My first-grade restaurant has never been afraid of anyone. Haha, great. Director Wang is really confident. The young man looked at Wang Xian and smiled. His expression turned heavy as he continued. However, I wonder if Director Wang could stay as composed when his restaurant goes bankrupt. Bankrupt? That's interesting. Let us wait and see who will be the first to declare bankruptcy. Wang Xian smiled and looked at them. Let's wait and see then. At that time, I'll let you know the strength of our Longxuan restaurant. The young man gave a cold smile. If you go bankrupt, I'll buy it from you for cheap. Arrogant. Wang Xian looked at the young man and said in an emotionless tone, Lad, you are still lacking a lot in comparison with my brother. As to what you are capable of, we have already investigated thoroughly. This time, we would hand you a complete defeat. At this moment, the teenager beside the young man lifted his head and spoke to Wang Xian in a condescending manner. My capabilities? It seems like you guys have been investigating me? Wang Xian's face sank. Hee. Know your enemy, and you will not be defeated in 100 battles. You are just a lucky brat. After this experience, you will be left with nothing, the young man said coldly. Sure, Wang Xian sneered. In that case, I'd like to see who will be the one who is left with nothing. TSK. The young man sneered and headed out. Brother, this time we will teach this brat a good lesson and let him know the consequences of going against our Longxuan restaurant, the teenager said to the young man. In 5 days' time, he will be crying over this. Our Longxuan restaurant's branch in this city is coming to this town like a hurricane and will triumph over the local first-grade restaurant, regardless of how strong it might be. Furthermore, he is just a worm after all. The young man revealed a confident look. If he wasn't capable, he wouldn't have come to the area to set up his restaurant. In his eyes, the first-grade restaurant was just a worm. Haha, that's right, big brother. In 5 days' time, we will know who's the dragon and who's the worm. The teenager laughed excitedly. Longxuan restaurant. Wang Xian looked at them as they left before looking at Longxuan restaurant once again. He smirked coldly and mumbled, You guys dare to claim to be Longxuan restaurant? Claiming to be a dragon? In 5 days' time? Wang Xian smiled and threw the advertisement into the rubbish bin. Director Wang. When he returned to first-grade restaurant after finishing his breakfast, Manager Huang walked to him, looking flustered. In his hand was an advertisement flyer. "What's the matter?" Wang Xian saw his flustered look and asked. "Director Wang, Longxuan Restaurant has just started a strong and massive advertisement campaign by giving out flyers and employing the media at the same time. Their reach is really wide." Manager Huang replied in a hurry and passed the flyer to Wang Xian. "This was a flyer that I received from them. I knew about this." Wang Xian smiled and shook his head upon seeing the flyer. "Director Wang, you knew about this?" Manager Huang was a little shocked but quickly added, "Director Wang, we need to get prepared. Longxuan Restaurant is a famous restaurant in the nearby city, and they have strong capabilities. Moreover, their boss is a distant sea fishing group and has supplies with a range of top-quality ingredients. Please take a look at the menu that they are advertising." "Relax. I have thought of how to handle this. As for now, the operations of first-grade restaurant shall remain the same as before. It's just a Longxuan restaurant. I'll make them close their shop quickly," Wang Xian said plainly. "Director Wang, you are confident?" Manager Huang asked again, feeling a little doubtful. "Just go and do what you have to do." Wang Xian looked at him and smiled mysteriously. He had not brought over the large lobsters from the chaotic reef areas and the abalones from under the island. This was because the time wasn't right yet. There were 5 more days, and this was ample time for him to make some preparations. Chapter 69. First Grade Restaurant versus Longxuan Restaurant 1. Days passed by, and soon it was only 10 days left before the school reopened. And one day before the Longxuan Restaurant opened for business. "Director Wang, the things you wanted are ready." When Manager Huang saw the arrival of Wang Xian early in the morning, he was worried sick. He could not help but ask, "Director Wang, almost everyone in the river town knows that the Longxuan Restaurant will be opening soon. Given the market responses, many people will turn up in their restaurant on the first day. How should we deal with this?" "It's okay. Make sure the things are ready." Wang Xian did not answer his question directly as he looked at the entrance with a smiling face. These few days, Wang Xian got Manager Huang to prepare a few showcase boxes like those that could be seen in the market. However, the showcase boxes that came with frozen storage were much more high-class and exquisite. The 4 showcase boxes were located on both sides of the entrance, while a huge aquarium was situated in the center. However, there was no ornamental fish in the aquarium. "It's done. Director Wang, look at all the imported equipment. They neither obstruct the visual nor the passageway," said Manager Huang, frowning. "Shuqing, have you printed out all our promotions?" Wang Xian asked with a smile. "Yes, they are done. We can start our promotions anytime," said Guan Shuqing with a grin. "Great. I'll get the people to move in the stuff in the afternoon." Wang Xian nodded. "Xiao Xian, are you confident in winning against the Longxuan Restaurant?" Guan Shuqing asked with some concerns. "No problem." Wang Xian nodded. Seeing Wang Xian acting so secretively, both Guan Shuqing and Manager Huang did not ask anything further. All they did was wait quietly. Longxuan Restaurant in the distance had already hung up huge red lanterns with fabulous decorations at the entrance. Just on advertising and promotions alone, Longxuan Restaurant had spent millions in 5 days. With such a substantial investment in marketing, the results were visible. Some passers-by even made inquiries in the daytime today. At 3 in the afternoon, an old man, together with 6 young men, walked in. The old man was burly while the rest of the young men exuded fearsome auras. They were carrying things in their hands. "Our operating hours start at 5 p.m. All of you are here. Move the things over here." Wang Xian intercepted the receptionist when he saw the Mo Qinglong and the Dragonians. "Wang." When Mo Qinglong saw Wang Xian, he quickly walked over and addressed him respectfully. Wang Xian requested him to address him in this way. After all, addressing him as Dragon King was way too high profile, and Wang aka the King seemed like a shorter nickname. Wang Xian. "Bring the things over." Wang Xian stood up and said. Guan Shuqing, Manager Huang, and the rest of the chefs did not rest. They all stood up and checked out curiously. "We're ready." Mo Qinglong waved to the rest of the 6 young men behind him. Put it in that showcase box, said Wang Xian to them. Yes, Wang. The rest of the young men nodded. Two of the young men moved over a huge foam box with ice in it. They opened the box, revealing a fish in it. The body size of the fish was about 3 meters long. It was beefy and sleek, flickering with silvery radiance. Atlantic bluefin marlin. It's the Atlantic bluefin marlin. Gosh, it's an Atlantic bluefin marlin of at least 400 caddies. Such a huge and beautiful Atlantic bluefin marlin. This one is worth at least 3 million and above. The group of chefs standing around could not help but exclaim as they quickly surrounded the box in astonishment. This was the best fish in the world, Atlantic bluefin marlin. Yet, another box opposite them was already opened while they exclaimed. It was a yellowish of 1 meter, weighing around 100 caddies, Chinese bahaba fish. It's the Chinese bahaba fish. The fish gelatin is just beside the Chinese bahaba fish. That's just huge. Gosh, there's another Chinese bahaba fish. When the Chinese bahaba fish was out, another round of commotion broke out from the surrounding chefs. Chinese bahaba fish. It's the Chinese bahaba fish. Director Wang. Boss, you're awesome. An Atlantic bluefin marlin and a Chinese bahaba fish. Gosh. Manager Huang exclaimed dumbfoundedly. With these two top-graded fish, would the first-grade restaurant be afraid of the Longxuan restaurant? They did not seem to exist. Guan Shuqing parted her lips slightly in astonishment as she looked at the expensive fish. She had not even had a chance to eat such expensive fish before. What a huge abalone! Gosh, the abalones are huge. Just as everyone was staring at the Atlantic bluefin marlin and the Chinese bahaba fish, the abalones were unloaded one by one, among which a few of the palm-sized abalones drew surprising cries from the chef. The chef pointed unbelievably at those abalones that were taken out from the box with eyes agape. This, one-headed abalone. One-headed abalone. Gosh, this is incredible. Too incredible. When Wang Xian saw their reactions, he smiled. Put the ornamental fish into the fish tank. Yes, Wang. A young Dragonian nodded, opened the foam box, and stored the arowanas in it. There was a total of 9 arowanas, and each of them was about 80 centimeters long. Precious chili red arowanas, noble Asian arowana, domineering silver arowana, elegant yellow arowana, and radiant blue arowana. Each of the arowana exuded a faint and imposing aura. They were the top-graded arowanas. Definitely the ultimate top-graded arowanas. Manager Huang stared unbelievably at those arowanas with eyes agape. He was not an expert in arowana, but his ex-boss borrowed several arowanas some time ago. Those arowanas were said to be worth more than 1 million each. But he was sure that those arowanas back then were far inferior to these arowanas here. The 9 arowanas were sweeping its body from left to right in the aquarium. Its domineering mightiness was fascinating. Just these arowanas would cost more than $10 millions of dollars? Manager Huang was a little stupefied. Lastly, hundreds of lobsters were taken out, relieving the group of people who were still stunned. Luckily, the last 100 lobsters were worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, which were incomparable to the rest of the fish. An Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, 2 one-headed abalones, 10 two-headed abalones. Bring out those wild giant yellow croaker which I caught some time ago, and put them in the showcase. Wang Xian looked at a chef impassively. Yes, boss. I'll get it. That chef quickly rushed to the kitchen. Soon, the 10 wild giant yellow croakers were in place. The Chinese bahaba fish and Atlantic bluefin marlin were situated on both sides of the door while the abalones were put beside the Chinese bahaba fish. On the other hand, the wild giant yellow croakers were placed beside the Atlantic bluefin marlin. Finally, the ornamental arowanas that were worth over $10 million were placed at the center position. The shock on Manager Huang and the chef's faces did not subside. Anyone who just walked into the shop would form an illusion that they were in a museum which housed the world's best seafood. This was a fish castle. Chapter 70, First Grade Restaurant versus Longxuan Restaurant 2. Let's have a toast to eating well, drinking well, and having a good time today. From tomorrow onwards, our Longxuan restaurant will start its operations officially and mark a new page of history for Longxuan Restaurant in Rivertown. In the future, people will definitely speak of us when discussing restaurants in Rivertown. As for that first-grade restaurant, it will become history soon. That's right, Director Xie. With Director Xie's capabilities and the publicity we have done over the last few days, first-grade restaurant is nothing to us. They will just be a part of history soon. In the evening, the boss of Longxuan Restaurant brought all his employees to a luxury hotel for a starting work feast. Longxuan Restaurant would be opening the next day. In other words, they were having a celebratory feast today. They were celebrating the upcoming success of Longxuan Restaurant and for the name of Longxuan Restaurant spreading throughout Rivertown. That's certain. With the ingredients that we have prepared, it will definitely shock the entire Rivertown. I have never seen first-grade restaurant as a threat to us. Director Xie revealed an arrogant and cocky expression. First-grade restaurant hasn't been doing any publicity recently. Could it be that they are so arrogant to believe that their reputation alone is enough to compete with us? That's really naive. A plump middle-aged man that looked like the chef chuckled. First-grade restaurant naturally has to pay for its arrogance. As I have said, I'll make that brat regret. Recalling the arrogant Wang Xian, Director Xie revealed a cold look. Come, let's have a toast to the success of Longxuan Restaurant. Director Xie stood up and said to the crowd around him. Cheers. Our Longxuan Restaurant will definitely shoot to stardom tomorrow. Haha, shoot to stardom. Just as the people of Longxuan Restaurant were having the celebratory feast, what they didn't know was that there was a commotion that broke out in first-grade restaurant. Welcome. A group of 5 people walked into the restaurant in the evening. Wow, you guys have made some changes to the entrance. A middle-aged regular patron noticed there was a new setup the moment he stepped into the restaurant. He looked at it inquisitively while asking the greeter at the side. Yes, sir. The greeter smiled. However, the changes aren't significant. It's just changing the arrangement of some of the things. The middle-aged man looked around and shook his head slightly. This won't do it. Longxuan Restaurant will be opening right beside tomorrow with a 50% discount on everything. Moreover, they have a wider variety of seafood than first-grade restaurant. I heard that you have a new boss. If this isn't handled well, your business will be snatched away by Longxuan Restaurant. Sir, we will also be having a 50% discount on all items tomorrow, the greeter replied with a smile. Just having discounts isn't enough. Do you know the range of seafood that they have? Longxuan Restaurant will be having Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi, precious sea cucumber, and many other types of deep-sea fish. I heard that there will be an unlimited amount of Australian lobsters and king crabs. The middle-aged man shook his head as he spoke. He looked to the group of people with him and continued. Let's go try the food of Longxuan Restaurant tomorrow. Their publicity has been really strong recently. I have also heard about Longxuan Restaurant. From their publicity, it seems that it is indeed better than first-grade restaurant and has lots of top-quality seafood. Another middle-aged man by the side smiled and commented. When the greeter heard the words of the middle-aged man, she revealed a faint smile. Sir, Longxuan Restaurant is still a far cry from us. We have a new boss, and it's only natural that we have made improvements. Sirs, please take a look inside. All right, let's go and take a look. The middle-aged man nodded his head initially but smiled and shook his head soon after. But I still feel that as compared to Longxuan Restaurant, you guys are a little inferior. However, before he could finish his sentence, he saw the nearest display platform to him. There were 10 yellow croaker fish that weighed about 3 to 4 caddies each on the display platform. Looking at the colors and the gloss of their bodies, it was clear that they were wild yellow croaker fish. The middle-aged man was taken aback and commented in shock, "Wild giant yellow croaker. And there are 10 of them. I would never have expected you guys to be able to get your hands on 10 wild giant yellow croaker fish. Sirs, feel free to take a look. All the top-end seafood on our 4 display platform are for sale. You could choose from them, and we would cook for you on the spot." A beautiful female waitress standing by the platform said to them. These 10 wild giant yellow croaker fish are really precious. Who would have thought that first-grade restaurants would be able to get 10 of these? This time, he did not complete his sentence. This was because just a short distance away, he saw a whole Atlantic bluefin marlin. It was a 3 meters long Atlantic bluefin marlin. His eyes stared wide open as he said, "Oh my gosh, what a move by first-grade restaurant." Just this Atlantic bluefin marlin alone would be comparable to Longxuan restaurant. The waitress at the side simply smiled and didn't comment. "Old Lu, take a look at this. Oh my God, Chinese bahaba fish. It's a whole Chinese bahaba fish. This is still the first time I have seen a Chinese bahaba fish. This fish alone is worth several million. These are fish gelatin. Fish gelatin from the Chinese bahaba fish is the most precious of all fish gelatin. The gelatin alone would fetch several hundreds of thousands. Don't just look at the Chinese bahaba fish. Take a look at these. Oh my gosh, I have never seen abalones that are so large. This is just like a dream. One-headed abalone. And there are 2 of them. There are also 10 two-headed abalones. Since when are one-headed and two-headed abalones so common? Each one of these is worth over $1 million. This is crazy. 2 one-headed abalones and 10 two-headed abalones. These are worth close to $10 million. Furthermore, those are Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, and wild giant yellow croaker fish. All these together are worth close to $20 million. First-grade restaurant is too awesome. This is just like a dreamland. Wow, Mr. Lu, welcome. At this moment, Manager Huang saw them the moment he stepped out of the office. He smiled and immediately walked over. Manager Huang, these Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba, and abalones are for sale. The dumbfounded middle-aged man asked Manager Huang. Of course. If Mr. Lu would like to have some, feel free to choose from them. Our chefs would cook for you immediately. These are definitely the most premium food in the world. Manager Huang smiled and replied, "Moreover, we will be having a grand sale tomorrow. Everything will be sold at 50% of the original price. This would naturally include what you have seen here." In other words, if one would like to have a one-headed abalone, he would just need $1.2 million and could save half of the original cost. The 5 middle-aged men were dumbfounded. What the hell? An abalone still costs $1.2 million after a 50% discount? Gulp. As the middle-aged man looked at the top-quality seafood around him, he couldn't help but swallow his saliva. Manager Huang, you guys are really having a showdown with Longxuan restaurant. A showdown? Manager Huang smiled and said with indifference, "Mr. Lu, what do you think of our first-grade restaurant relative to Longxuan restaurant?" Manager Huang, your new boss is truly awesome to be able to get these world-class top-quality ingredients. The middle-aged man smiled and continued, "This isn't even a contest with Longxuan restaurant anymore. You guys are simply holding them down and rubbing their faces against the floor. Too awesome. Rub rub." Chapter 71. First-grade restaurant versus Longxuan restaurant 3. Apart from Mr. Lu and his clique that night, close to hundreds of people who turned up for dinner at first-grade restaurant saw the luxurious lineup of the seafood. Every customer who walked in was dumbfounded by the world's best seafood. What's more, these seafoods could only be found on the news. They thought the recent improvements from Longxuan restaurant were already impressive, but now, they simply paled in comparison. That night, Wang Xian instructed that all the promotion events of the first-grade restaurant be sent to the customers on their contact list via their phones. No other message was sent except for the 50% off. Yet, those images were shared on the social media feed among people within Rivertown that night. Crazy. Do you know what the best seafood in the world is? Australia lobster, king crab? Those are crappy. Let me tell you what the best seafood in the world is. Below the caption were some pictures with one-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish. Splendid. This is the most awesome restaurant I have ever seen. The first-grade restaurant is going the hell out of the way. All one-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish are now 50% off. The photos and the information were shared on the WeChat feeds, which subsequently gave rise to some online jokes. I'll marry any nouveau riches who treat me to a meal at first-grade restaurant. Bro, follow me to a feast at first-grade restaurant. I'll bring you, and you'll bring the money. How much does it cost to go all-out eating at the first-grade restaurant? The price of your house. I'm sitting in the private room of first-grade restaurant while having abalone, sashimi, and Chinese bahaba fish. I envy those who are having street food outside. Sigh, my life is tough. Within a short period, the godlike first-grade restaurant was plastered all over the WeChat feeds. Many people were prepared to check the restaurant out. The next morning, the entire old street was filled with a festive atmosphere as Longxuan restaurant opened their doors early in the morning. The dancing lion and dragons were performing nonstop on the road outside the Longxuan restaurant. At the entrance of Longxuan restaurant stood 10 gorgeous-looking models who were smiling all the way. Director Xie, his brother, and the manager of the Longxuan restaurant were standing in front of the restaurant with smiles all over their faces. They were happy to see the crowd gathering at their door. Director Xie, it's only 9 a.m. now, and what a crowd we have. There will be more people when we officially open at 9:30 a.m. I bet they will start having their food at 9:30 a.m. Haha, of course. We're having a promotion of 50% off today. It will be a pity if you are not eating the top-grade seafood at half price, said Director Xie, laughing out loud. Brother, the first-grade restaurant is not even open yet. Interesting, the juvenile next to Director Xie said with a smile. That restaurant will be closed forever, said Director Xie confidently. Director Xie, the beauty, Lin Qingying is here. More people might be coming later. At this time, the manager of Longxuan restaurant saw a pretty girl with a pair of big sunglasses. An assistant was following beside her too. Oh, get her to come over now. Ask her to sing a song later and participate in the opening ceremony of Longxuan restaurant. Director Xie said while beaming. Got it. The manager nodded and went over immediately. Brother, we should hire a top star for our opening. Why would we get someone who is a B-lister? The juvenile asked Director Xie. Lin Qingying might be a B-lister, but she is a special case. She's a star who loves food, and her reviews are spot on. Hence, she has a huge base of fans who are foodies. Getting her is much more appropriate than hiring other A-listers. Director Xie beamed as he spoke. You've got great foresight, brother. The juvenile smiled and replied, Xiaofeng, you're still young. There are things you need to learn. Director Xie smiled at his younger brother. Yes, brother. A simple stage was set up at the entrance of the Longxuan restaurant. Hi, Miss Lin Qingying. Director Xie greeted Lin Qingying with a face full of smiles when he saw her walking over. Hello, Director Xie. Lin Qingying smiled and nodded with slight arrogance. Director Xie did not mind at all. He knew that Lin Qingying was quite well off. She gained her popularity from being a foodie and from the 2 songs she sang. She was not the one who was short of money. Now, he was the one who needed her help. Miss Lin Qingying, we'll need you to sing a song for us and introduce the Longxuan restaurant later. Is there any problem? Asked Director Xie with a smile. No problem, Director Xie. Since I promised to take on this job, I'll definitely do my best. Lin Qingying tidied her hair and nodded. She was 1.7 meters tall with a perfect figure, and she looked fit. Her lips may have been thin, but they were seductive in their own way. Welcome, everyone, to Longxuan Restaurant. Today is the opening of the Longxuan Restaurant. We are officially announcing our arrival in Rivertown with the most top-grade seafood and the most delicious food. In this opening ceremony, we have invited the renowned foodie star, Miss Lin Qingying. Next, let's invite Miss Lin Qingying to introduce the Longxuan Restaurant, which has a rich history. The host stood on the stage with a microphone as he did the introduction. The beautiful and enchanting Lin Qingying walked up to the stage with a handheld microphone and a smiling face. Hello, everyone. I'm Lin Qingying. I'm very honored to be invited here for the opening ceremony of Longxuan Restaurant. The Longxuan Restaurant. Lin Qingying. She's pretty. Let's go over now. Lin Qingying was invited to this restaurant's opening ceremony. This restaurant is splendid. The publicity of the Longxuan restaurant these past few days was strong. I have also heard that it is a high-class seafood restaurant with lots of expensive seafood ingredients. They are quite awesome. The presence of Lin Qingying on the stage drew all the people on the street instantly. Director Xie curved his lips into a smile when he saw the crowd, which almost blocked the entire Longxuan restaurant. This time, I want the entire river town, or even the nation, to go crazy with my restaurant opening. Director Xie held his fist tightly as he revealed a confident look. He looked at the first-grade restaurant, which had yet to open, with his lips slightly drawn. At this time, a bunch of food lovers who had nothing to do rushed over when they heard the news. The first-grade restaurant opens at 9:30. Since they are not open yet, let's check out the Longxuan restaurant first. Longxuan restaurant might have strong publicity, but they seem to lose out to first-grade restaurant by a lot. In any case, we can check them out since we've got nothing to do. I think there's a celebrity over there. Some customers joined the crowd at Longxuan restaurant, which was not far away, when they saw the closed door at the first-grade restaurant. Chapter 72, First-Grade Restaurant versus Longxuan Restaurant, 4. 9:20 a.m. 10 more minutes to the official opening of Longxuan Restaurant. At this moment, Director Xie and Lin Qingying were standing on the platform with the restaurant manager, the chief chef, and Director Xie's brother. Everyone had a bright and radiant smile on them. And now we will have the ribbon-cutting ceremony to commemorate Longxuan Restaurant's opening and to wish them a bright future ahead. The ribbon-cutting ceremony is complete. Director Xie's face was wreathed with smiles as he took over the microphone and looked at the densely packed crowd in front of him. At this moment, the streets had been congested with people. There were at least 700 to 800 people gathered here, and this made him pleasantly satisfied. First, I'd like to welcome everyone who is here to witness the opening of Longxuan Restaurant. As the beautiful Lin Qingying has introduced, our Longxuan Restaurant has a long history and a range of top-quality seafood. Today marks the beginning of Longxuan Restaurant in Rivertown, and this will signify Longxuan Restaurant becoming the best, the most luxurious, and the most delicious seafood restaurant in Rivertown. Our Longxuan Restaurant has always liked to prove it with our strength. In 5 minutes' time, we will be opening officially. Everyone could come in and try our food. I believe that the top-quality seafood in our Longxuan Restaurant will be far superior to those in the nearby first-grade restaurant. Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi. We have it. Two-headed abalone. We have it. Top-quality caviar. We have it. Australian lobsters and king crab. We have them too. We have every kind of top-quality seafood you can imagine. Director Xie spoke confidently. He was in a state of exuberance and had a confident disposition, following which, the doors to Longxuan Restaurant were opened as he waved his hand. A huge fish was placed right at the main door. This is a little benefit to commemorate the opening of our restaurant, large-size grouper. It weighs over 300 catties, and the market price of it is more than $100 per catty. As long as you eat in our restaurant today, we will be giving you a serving for free. Wow, what a big fish. Grouper. The price of grouper isn't cheap. It's over $100 per catty. This grouper is really huge. Doesn't this mean that this alone is worth $30,000 to $40,000? Longxuan Restaurant is really generous to give it out for free. Rich. This Longxuan Restaurant is simply rich. Disregarding the publicity over the last few days, one could easily tell its strength by its ability to invite Lin Qingying over. Moreover, the range of top-quality seafood is really wide here. Some people looked at that huge grouper in awe. How extravagant. Awesome. The lips of Director Xie curved into a smile, and he was very satisfied with the reactions of the crowd. He smiled faintly at the people below the platform who were busy taking photos with their mobile phones. However, there was a batch of people who were surprisingly not shocked. On the contrary, they were commenting softly, "It's just a grouper. This is a far cry from first-grade restaurant." Yeah, is this all they got? Why does it feel that they are miles behind first-grade restaurant? Yet they dare to claim to be far ahead of first-grade restaurant. This group of people was puzzled while looking at Director Xie, acting cocky on the platform. Boss, is everything going at 50% of its original price? A voice of a middle-aged man sounded suddenly. The crowd looked towards Director Xie and was waiting for his reply. Everything in our restaurant is going at 50% of the original price. This includes the drinks. Director Xie smiled. However, he quickly added, naturally, some stuff couldn't possibly be going at 50%. For example, the two-headed abalone. We have spent a lot of effort to get them from Australia, and therefore these will be sold at the original price of $450,000. Besides that, Atlantic bluefin marlin and caviar will also not be at 50%. I believe everyone knows the prices of these. However, Director Xie's face was still brimming with confidence. Our Australian lobsters and king crab will be going at 50%. Just think about being able to have these for slightly over $1,000 when one typically costs $2,000 to $3,000. Isn't this great? Our Longxuan restaurant is really extravagant and generous. The price of a meal would be just $5,000 if it costs $10,000 initially. This is a once-in-a-blue-moon opportunity. Moreover, our promotional activities will only be for today and over the next few days. Today, we have the highest discount of 50%. The manager added from the side. That's a really good deal. It's a perfect deal. Even Australian lobsters and king crab are going for half price. This is simply too cheap. Longxuan restaurant is taking a loss with each sale. Awesome, awesome. The crowd couldn't contain their surprise as they exclaimed. Director Xie had also invited some members of the media to record this event. They were taking photos constantly to prepare for future publications. They had already thought of the headlines. For example, extravagant Longxuan restaurant. Everything at just 50% on the opening day. Top-quality seafood waiting for you to enjoy. The most extravagant restaurant. The most luxurious restaurant. The most delicious restaurant. Top-quality restaurant awaits your arrival. However, there was a group of people looking at Director Xie and the manager with a weird expression. A middle-aged man couldn't contain himself and remarked loudly, "Please pardon me for my honest words. If this is all you have, I'm afraid Longxuan restaurant has a long way to go to overtake first-grade restaurant." Yeah, to exclude Atlantic bluefin marlin, two-headed abalone, and other top-tier ingredients from discounts, you guys are miles behind first-grade restaurant. Yeah, first-grade restaurant is also having a promotional event today, and all the ingredients in the restaurant are going at half price. Even a one-headed abalone is at half price. Think about it. A $2 million one-headed abalone going at half price. I thought Longxuan restaurant would be generous. What a huge discrepancy from expectation. When the middle-aged man spoke, those customers that were waiting for first-grade restaurants opening couldn't hold back anymore and seconded. After 5 to 6 people had spoken, the crowd was stunned. Director Xie was also taken aback and looked sternly at those people. You guys are probably hired by first-grade restaurant to cause trouble here. With first-grade restaurant's capabilities, there's no way it has the strength to compete with Longxuan restaurant. We are at least 2 tiers ahead. Director Xie's words angered those people. We were hired? They naturally wouldn't be happy about being accused of being something that they weren't. We are hired? What a joke. We are just regular customers and would go to wherever has the most delicious food and widest range of top-quality ingredients. We are just speaking the truth. That's right. I really wonder where you find the courage to say that you guys are 2 tiers above first-grade restaurant. You guys should take a look at others before saying that. Ignorance. It's you guys who are inferior by several tiers as compared to first-grade restaurant and have to rely on a large amount of publicity to gain reputation. You guys should have checked out the difference between Longxuan restaurant and first-grade restaurant. The customers below the platform grumbled angrily. Since they were accused of being hired, they wouldn't have to be courteous with Longxuan restaurant. Who would have expected that first-grade restaurant would send these troublemakers? What a despicable group of people. Security. Throw these people out. A young man from below the stage was outraged upon seeing the few middle-aged men shouting. Interesting. Interesting. We are just speaking the truth. How do you even dare to be so presumptuous in claiming first-grade restaurant is inferior to you when you haven't even recognized the true strength of first-grade restaurant? I'm just going to say this, and it isn't because I'm biased towards first-grade restaurant. In my opinion, Longxuan restaurant is just thrash as compared to first-grade restaurant. You guys are just thrash. Chapter 73, First-Grade Restaurant versus Longxuan Restaurant, 5. Chase them off. Chase these troublemakers away. Director Xie turned and said to the security guard. He darkened his expression as soon as he heard the comments on the stage. I don't need you to chase us off. We'll walk out ourselves. In any case, the first-grade restaurant is going to open soon. A middle-aged man spoke to Director Xie coldly as he walked towards the first-grade restaurant. You'll find out who is the best when you walk into the restaurant. How dare you claim yourself as the most generous and luxurious restaurant? Heh, you're far from that. Sigh, I can't even bear to look anymore. The top-graded ingredients of the first-grade restaurant were shared frantically on the WeChat feed. 50% off everything in the shop. Even the one-headed abalone that is worth 2 million is selling at half price. They even have 10 two-headed abalones. Some people commented while shaking their heads. They left the place and headed to the first-grade restaurant. About 80 people left the place with disdainful expressions on their faces as they commented. Some of the people around were stunned as they had no idea about it. They knew nothing about the top-graded seafood of first-grade restaurant and the half-price promotion. After all, someone had only spotted the top-graded seafood of first-grade restaurant last night. Despite how fast it was propagated on the feed, many people remained unaware of it. The surrounding people were somewhat stunned as they watched the group of people departing. Just then, the door of the first-grade restaurant was opened. Subsequently, they took out their advertising signboards and set them up in front of the door. 50% off everything including one-headed abalone, two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, and even the wild giant yellow croakers. 50% off everything. A simple advertising signboard with pictures of abalones, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, and wild giant yellow croakers. Finally, they are opened. Let's go. I heard they placed all the top-graded ingredients at the entrance. If we get them, the chef can cook it on the spot. Let's hurry. The first-grade restaurant has a 50% off promotion, and the place will soon be fully booked. We should start to queue now. Otherwise, we can't get to eat even if we want to. Hurry, I heard that the boss has arowanas that are worth millions of dollars inside. Gosh, this is way too awesome. Those people who left were excited as they ran off hastily when the first-grade restaurant opened their doors for business. Why don't we check it out too? Those people in front of the Longxuan restaurant asked hesitantly when they saw the crowd streaming towards the first-grade restaurant. I'll check it out to see if what they said was real. Me too. It should not be possible for the first-grade restaurant to find about 90 people just to act as shills. If what they said was untrue, then they would be smearing their own brand name. That's right. I'll check them out too. We'll wait and see if it is really as awesome as they claimed it would be. Some of the people popped over to the first-grade restaurant, while some people were prepared to sit around and observe. For a moment, no one entered the Longxuan restaurant. On the stage, Director Xie turned sulky as he held his microphone tightly with killing radiance flickering in his eyes. Don't push, everyone. Line up orderly. Manager Huang was excited to see the influx of customers at the restaurant entrance. Sorry, we're really sorry. We're still in the midst of preparation. So, if you want to have your meals, you might need to wait for more than an hour. You can wait if you're patient enough. Manager Huang yelled at the top of his lungs. His chin was slightly lifted as he was feeling proud. Let's take a look at these displays in front of us. Check out the one-headed abalone and the Chinese bahaba fish. Yes, let's check these out first. Damn, I have never seen one-headed abalone. Not even a Chinese bahaba fish. Manager Huang, even the one-headed abalone that cost more than 2 million, it is also at half price? If someone buys this, won't the shop be losing money? The group of people asked curiously as they marched in. 50% off for everything. This is not empty talk. But all our seafood has to be cooked in the restaurant after purchase to prevent people from reselling our one-headed abalones, Manager Huang answered in a loud voice. Gosh, it's true. This is a godlike promotion. A one-headed abalone at half price means we save over $1 million. Wow, they are really Chinese bahaba fish, wild giant yellow croakers, 2 one-headed abalone, and 10 two-headed abalone. This is simply amazing. What a huge abalone. One of these costs more than $2 million. This is incredible. Too incredible. What a sight. What a goddamned sight. Everyone took out their phones to take photos as they exclaimed in disbelief. And these arowanas. Gosh, Manager Huang, where did your boss find so many precious arowanas that are worth a few million each? You're kidding me. Are they really that expensive? Of course. My friend sells ornamental fish. So, I know something about it. These arowanas looked really impressive. They are worth at least $1 million. Gosh. Then all this seafood and the ornamental fishes would add up to a value of 20 to 30 million. I heard that first-grade restaurant is owned by someone else now. Is the current boss that wealthy? People in front, please wait inside after viewing. Give the people at the back a chance. The customers who were waiting behind said in anticipation as they heard the exclamations from the customers in front. No hurry, no hurry, the people in the front answered. The people queuing behind are blocking the road. Can the people in front hurry up? The crowd was overwhelming. Some of them entered slowly as they revealed shocked expressions while gazing at the top-graded seafood. All of them took out their phones to snap pictures and share on their WeChat feeds and the internet. How is it? Is it true what those people just said? Some of the ignorant people asked the people in front. It's true. Damn. A huge one-headed abalone, rare Chinese bahaba fish, and a 3 meters Atlantic bluefin marlin. This is simply incredible. Compared to the first-grade restaurant, the Longxuan restaurant is totally crap. The grouper is a joke in front of all these top-graded seafoods. The people in the Longxuan restaurant are idiots. How could they have the cheek to say the first-grade restaurant is incomparable to them? It should be the other way around. The two of them are not of the same class. How dare they claim to be generous? They are a disgrace in front of the first-grade restaurant. Yes, I don't understand how they have the guts to make such proclamations. They even invited a celebrity over. They are obviously not on par with them. What can they do, even if they get the top stars here? Many people were talking about it. Soon, the news spread outside. Those people were not shills. What they said was true. The people outside were dumbfounded when they heard the description from the people inside. Just like what the angry man had said. Compared to the first-grade restaurant, Longxuan restaurant is crap. The two of them are not of the same class. Chapter 74, First-grade restaurant versus Longxuan restaurant, end. The old street was more buoyant than normal today. It was especially so in the vicinity of first-grade restaurant. Just a while ago, all the traffic was gathered at the well-decorated entrance of Longxuan restaurant. However, at this very moment, it looked a little deserted. This is crazy. This is crazy. First-grade restaurant is full right now. I couldn't even squeeze in if I wished. I was still thinking of going to take a look at the one-headed abalone. I have never seen a one-headed abalone in my life. One-headed abalone, two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, Chinese bahaba fish, yellow croaker fish, and several precious ornamental arowana. First-grade restaurant's promotional activity is truly shocking. First-grade restaurant truly deserves its name. However, Longxuan restaurant is in an embarrassing situation now. They have been publicizing fervently and even invited a star over. During the opening speech, they even claimed to be much better than first-grade restaurant. This is simply a slap to their own face. Yeah, a slap to their own face. Longxuan restaurant publicized that everything is going at half price, but exclude two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, and some top-quality ingredients. However, everything is going at half price at first-grade restaurant. First-grade restaurant is clearly to take a loss with each sale. This is a contest between first-grade restaurant and Longxuan restaurant, but it seems like Longxuan Restaurant has been handed a complete defeat. At the entrance of Longxuan Restaurant, some customers took a glance at Longxuan Restaurant. They shook their heads and walked towards first-grade restaurant just a short distance away. Director Xie was shivering in anger while standing by the side and hearing their conversation. He gritted his teeth and clenched his fist tightly. Defeat. Utter defeat. From the beginning to the end, the boss of first-grade restaurant had never shown his face. And from the beginning to the end, first-grade restaurant had never done any publicity. Relying on just strength, first-grade restaurant had completely rolled over Longxuan Restaurant. How can this be possible? How did he get his hands on such precious seafood? Director Xie's eyes were filled with disbelief. He thought that he was already great to be able to get two-headed abalone and Atlantic bluefin marlin. However, just a simple comparison, and it was clear that he was far from it. Director Xie, we? The middle-aged manager of Longxuan Restaurant walked out and stammered with sorrow. Damn it! Director Xie turned his head over and stared at the middle-aged man with murderous intent. Didn't I ask you to investigate the background of the boss of first-grade restaurant? Didn't I ask you to keep a lookout of their actions? These are the results of your investigation? Director Xie, this really isn't my fault. I had not expected this either. They only brought out these ingredients last night. At that time, we were having the celebratory feast. The manager said righteously. Celebratory feast? When Director Xie heard these words, it felt full of mockery. Celebratory feast? A celebratory feast for this darn outcome? Brother, what should we do? The young man from the side walked over and asked Director Xie with a face of sorrows. After investing close to $20 million, we can't just let it be. Director Xie clenched his fist tightly as a violent look flashed past his eyes. The young man was taken aback, but soon revealed the same expression. Brother, I also feel that we shouldn't just let this go. Brother-in-law's strength could be considered really strong in Rivertown. Should we look for him? Director Xie took out a cigarette and lit it. I'll go make a call. Longxuan Restaurant will operate as planned. The victory of this showdown will belong to us. Director Xie sneered at the people around and headed directly to the office in Longxuan Restaurant. The surrounding members of the media and publicity personnel took a look at Longxuan Restaurant before looking at first-grade restaurant just a short distance away. Suddenly, they were lost as to how to write their articles. Lin Qingying also looked inquisitively at first-grade restaurant, and her eyes were shimmering. Boss, we have succeeded. There are barely any customers at Longxuan Restaurant, and we have a full house right here. There are still a lot of people waiting to come in to take a look. At this moment, Manager Huang spoke excitedly to Wang Xian within the office in first-grade restaurant. As expected, Wang Xian's lips curved slowly into a smile. Since we have started the activity today, we better do it well. This will be tough on the employees. Get something good for lunch. It's not tough. It's not tough. After this incident, it wouldn't be easy for Longxuan Restaurant to get up again. On the contrary, with the seafood that boss had brought over, our business would only get better and better. Manager Huang said joyously. Definitely. Oh right, Manager Huang. Reserve a private lounge for me tonight. I'll like to invite some friends over for dinner. Wang Xian said to Manager Huang. All right, Director Huang. Manager Huang nodded his head. Xiaoxian, you are really awesome. The moment Manager Huang left, Guan Shuqing looked at Wang Xian with total respect. Haha, that's a given. Wang Xian smiled satisfactorily. It was a little beyond his expectations to be able to win this showdown so easily. Although he brought over quite a substantial amount of top-quality ingredients from the ocean the last few days and Longxuan Restaurant was miles away from first-grade restaurant, Longxuan Restaurant shouldn't have been defeated so utterly. However, their mistakes were on the discounts given and that they were too petty about the discounts. First-grade restaurant was also providing 50% off like Longxuan Restaurant. However, first-grade restaurant's 50% discount was on all ingredients. As for Longxuan Restaurant's 50% discount, it did not include those top-quality ingredients. Besides that, they were still emphasizing how extravagant they were at their opening ceremony. In the end, this became a tight slap on their own faces. Comparing would only reveal one's shortcomings. If Longxuan Restaurant did not compare themselves with first-grade restaurant, they were indeed really awesome. However, in a simple comparison, the difference between them was stark. Even Wang Xian had not expected that the arrogant director Xie would be such a Scrooge. However, Wang Xian was able to do so because these top-quality ingredients did not cost him anything as he caught them from the seas. However, Director Xie had to spend real cash to purchase his ingredients. Wang Xian lied on the chair leisurely and was smiling as he witnessed the rise of first-grade restaurant. What happened on Old Street today was soon spread to the majority of River Town. Many group chats, Weibo, chat groups, and forums were discussing first-grade restaurant. The reputation of first-grade restaurant had also quickly spread to other cities as it became sensational over the internet. In this era, a Chinese bahaba fish would be enough to make the headlines, let alone a restaurant in possession of such a range of top-quality ingredients. As for Longxuan Restaurant, who had been publicizing fervently over the past few days, they had now become the joke. A showdown ended with Longxuan Restaurant's complete defeat. Late at night, some media houses who caught the news carried their cameras over to first-grade restaurant to visit the hottest restaurant in Rivertown. Wang Xian saw it from his office, after which he sent manager Huang over to receive them. When it came to interviews from the media, Wang Xian was still very willing to accept them. This was a very good way to achieve publicity. Let's go and try the food of first-grade restaurant. More importantly, have a taste of the legendary fish gelatin from the Chinese bahaba fish that is rumored to be a great beauty supplement. Chinying, first-grade restaurant, is probably full today. It's fine. With this face of mine, the boss would definitely give us a table. Hee, we might even get it for free. At the entrance, Lin Qingying wore a huge face mask and entered first-grade restaurant with her assistant. Chapter 75. Even a celebrity must queue. The first-grade restaurant at night was not only fully occupied. Many people were also queuing in the waiting area near the entrance. Many customers were gazing at the expensive world-class seafood. When Lin Qingying walked into the restaurant, her brows slightly knit together as she looked inside. The people were overwhelming such that the restaurant seemed overcrowded. However, it was normal since the first-grade restaurant was too famous. Lin Qingying raised an eyebrow as she looked at the front desk staff. She asked the staff over at the counter, "Are there any seats available?" "Nope. You can take a queue number. But I don't recommend you wait if there are too many people in front of you," the front desk staff said with a smile. Lin Qingying frowned and continued, "Please get your boss here." "Her? What's the matter, babe?" Wang Xian had just walked out of his office when he heard Lin Qingying. Hence, he looked at her with a puzzled look. "Are you the boss over here?" Lin Qingying stared at Wang Xian with surprise. "Yes, what's the matter?" Wang Xian asked with a smile. "Can you give me a seat? I would like to taste the delicacy of the first-grade restaurant and the fish gelatin of the Chinese bahaba fish." Lin Qingying removed her sunglasses, revealing her look as she smiled at Wang Xian. Lin Qingying. When Lin Qingying took off her sunglasses, the staff at the side exclaimed and took her phone out for pictures. Lin Qingying revealed a confident look as soon as she saw the reaction of the staff. Lin Qingying. Wang Xian recognized the beauty in front of him. She was the renowned food celebrity who had taken part in the opening ceremony of Longxuan Restaurant this morning. "Can we?" Lin Qingying raised her eyebrows slightly as she continued asking Wang Xian. "How many people are there in the queue?" Wang Xian did not answer her. Instead, he asked the staff at the side. "Director Wang, there are 25 more people in the queue," the staff replied. 25. Wang Xian nodded and turned to the sexy Lin Qingying. Regretfully, he said, "I'm sorry, Miss Lin Qingying. There are 25 tables in front of you. I'm afraid today is not possible. Please come early tomorrow." Wang Xian had stunned Lin Qingying with his statement as she looked at him with disbelief. Lin Qingying was not expecting such an answer from the other party. She was a celebrity, a food celebrity. Her presence in any restaurant would be its best publicity. Yet, this young man had turned her down flat. This was embarrassing to her. She looked at Wang Xian with radiance flickering in her eyes. Do you know who I am? The question posed by Lin Qingying stunned Wang Xian. He chuckled and replied immediately, what has that got to do with it? You. Wang Xian's reply infuriated her. You actually reject me from dining in here? Lin Qingying looked at Wang Xian with a dirty look. In the past, all the managers or bosses would deliver their dishes personally wherever she had her meals. All of them were hoping to receive good reviews from her. If she could post their restaurant on her Weibo, that would be even better. Yet, the first-grade restaurant had the cheek to ask her to return tomorrow. This boiled the blood of the prideful girl. This beautiful lady over here has a funny way of talking, I guess. The restaurant is full now. If you want to have your food here, you can wait. But we'll stop receiving guests at 9 p.m. Till then, if it's not your turn, too bad. Celebrities are all the same. They don't get to enjoy any privilege here. Wang Xian looked at the prideful Lin Qingying and spoke to her impassively. Subsequently, he walked to the front desk, ignoring her. Lin Qingying was infuriated, as her anger was written all over her face after hearing what Wang Xian said. Some of the customers who were waiting spotted the commotion. When they saw Lin Qingying, all of them had a surprised look on their faces. When they overheard the conversations between Lin Qingying and the boss, they were stupefied. The boss is really superb. You need to wait if you want to eat. That goes for the celebrities. The first-grade restaurant doesn't even need celebrities to promote them. Lin Qingying. Who would have thought that the boss would keep her waiting when she wants to dine in this restaurant? But yes, so what if you're a star? The first-grade restaurant is capable on their own without the need for any celebrities' promotions. The first-grade restaurant lives up to its name. They are domineering. With such capability, you need to queue for their food even if you're a food celebrity. Some customers praised Wang Xian for the way he dealt with the situation, while some looked at him with a sneer. There were several media members, not far away from them, who recorded down the scene with excitement on their faces. They were not expecting to meet Lin Qingying when they were only here for the coverage of the first-grade restaurant. The news was simply too juicy. They already thought of ways to publicize it. Headlines. Breaking news. Lin Qingying was told to wait in the queue by the boss when she was here for the food. Even celebrities need to queue. No privilege. Or, shocking. The first-grade restaurant is so capable that they do not need the celebrities' promotion. So what if you were Lin Qingying? Queue up. Lin Qingying had a complicated facial expression when she heard the surrounding comments. Qingying, let's leave this place. The media are here too. The assistant next to her said to her anxiously when she noticed the media snapping photos of them. Lin Qingying took a deep breath. She put on her sunglasses and walked out, embarrassed. Wang Xian lifted his head. As Lin Qingying departed, he had a faint, disdainful look on his face. So what if you are a star? Longxuan restaurant might need publicity, but not first-grade restaurant. One by one, Wang Xian's friends turned up at about 7 o'clock in the evening. Old Qin brought along his wife, Qin Lianhui, as well as little Kite. For members from Old Shue's family, including Xue Jing's mother, were here. Lan Qingyue showed up too. When Wang Xian had invited them over for a meal, both Old Xue and Old Qin agreed without any hesitation. Guan Shuqing came over happily too. Today, I would like to invite everyone to have a taste of the food in the first-grade restaurant. Wang Xian beamed at everyone as the dishes were brought to the table. Looking at the dishes that were worth over 1 million on the table, Old Xue exclaimed, "TSK, TSK. Buddy Wang Xian, you're too generous. Two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin sashimi, wild giant yellow croakers, and Chinese bahaba fish's gelatin soup. This is too extravagant. This is the first time in my life to have such extravagant dishes. All thanks to Buddy Wang Xian." Old Qin laughed out loud as he said to Wang Xian, "I have to bring out the best when I'm hosting my friends. If not, that would be too stingy of me." Wang Xian chuckled. The fish gelatin of the Chinese bahaba fish is good for the ladies. It enhances the beauty and enriches the blood flow. Xiao Xian, you're sincere in buying us a meal. Lan Qingyue, who was sitting on the left of Wang Xian, laughed as she said, "Hee hee, it's half price today. I don't feel bad with some orders." Wang Xian joked while Guan Shuqing on his right smiled. "Buddy Wang Xian and the two beauties over here, let's have a toast. In the future, you can look for me if you need any help. The Qin family will definitely help you out." "Thank you, Grandpa Qin." Both Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue quickly raised their glasses. Wang Xian and the rest of the people finished their drinks in a gulp. The Shui family and the Qin family were great friends. It was only courteous to reciprocate their friendship. Wang Xian bought them a meal to strengthen their bond. On the other hand, the two influential families, Qin and Shui families, were very happy to befriend Wang Xian. Chapter 76. Whose Fireworks? When the dinner ended, it was already around 11 p.m. Wang Xian was surprised to see two beautiful girls still around after sending off old Qin and old Shui. "Are you not going home too?" Wang Xian gave a gentle smile and asked Lan Qingyue. Wang Xian wasn't very familiar with Lan Qingyue. The number of times they had met and chat could be counted with a single hand. Nonetheless, his impression of Lan Qingyue was still very good. It was especially so after the incident at the banquet. With regard to this cold-looking girl, he did have some good feelings for her. However, such feelings hadn't reached the level he had for Guan Shuqing. "It's late now. I'll probably head back to the dormitory to sleep." Lan Qingyue smiled, looking to Guan Shuqing before asking Wang Xian, "Are you heading back to the dormitory too?" "Yeah, I can't possibly be sleeping in the restaurant." Wang Xian smiled and turned to Guan Shuqing. "Let's go. It's pretty late now. Let's head back." "All right. In that case, let's walk back. Your motorcycle is unlikely to fit 3 people." Guan Shuqing joked. "That's true," Wang Xian replied with a smile. This darned heavy-duty motorcycle had problems fetching an additional person, let alone ferrying 2 people. "Let's walk back together," suggested Wang Xian. "Sure. I'm feeling so full from the dinner. Walking back can help in the digestion." Guan Shuqing nodded her head. Lan Qingyue felt a little uncomfortable listening to the conversation between the two of them from the side. Nonetheless, she squeezed out a smile on her face. "The night skies are really beautiful today. Let's walk back together. I wonder if the people from the school would kill you with their gazes if they saw you walking with 2 beautiful girls." "Haha, that's true. You two are well-known beauties of our school and considered as goddess-like existences. I'll probably walk slower on our way back in a while." Wang Xian chuckled. Lan Qingyue was to his left in a black dress and had the disposition of a cold-looking goddess. Guan Shuqing was to his right and had a faint smile on her. She had the disposition of a cute and adorable goddess. Both of them were very tall because of their fine family backgrounds and were considered by many as goddesses. Guan Shuqing rolled her eyes at Wang Xian before commenting, "Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, boss, for treating us to such a great dinner today." "Yeah, Xiaoxian. If there's something so delicious in the future, don't forget to call me along." Lan Qingyue added in a hurry. "Sure, that's not a problem. If there's anything delicious in the future, I'll call you along." Wang Xian walked between the 2 beautiful girls and could smell 2 different fragrances. This made his face light up with impish glee. "Xiaoxian, I really have to thank you for this. Because of you, our Lan family has gotten closer to Qin family." "Oh yeah, Xiaoxian, my father has been thinking of apologizing to you for that incident. He would like to ask you out for dinner, but I told him that you aren't free." Along the way, Wang Xian realized that Guan Shuqing and Lan Qingyue had many things to talk about. All he could do was to nod his head in approval while listening. They started from their families to interesting incidents that happened in school. Throughout the journey, it was an enjoyable experience for all of them. After sending the 2 girls to the girls' dormitory, Wang Xian waved and bade goodbye to the 2 of them. "See you tomorrow." Guan Shuqing looked to Wang Xian and waved back. "Sure." Wang Xian nodded his head and waved at them before heading back to his dormitory. Looking at the back view of Wang Xian, Lan Qingyue and Guan Shuqing suddenly quietened down. A unique atmosphere started forming around them. "Junior, I wouldn't just give up," Suddenly, Longxuan broke the silence. She flicked her long and silky hair and exhibited a strong sense of confidence. I have more interactions with him, and that's an advantage. Guan Shuqing smiled radiantly and said to Longxuan. She was also exhibiting the same confident disposition. Fair competition. Longxuan looked at Guan Shuqing before walking up the stairs. Looking at her back view, Guan Shuqing suddenly had a bitter feeling. She mumbled, "Although I'm confident, my mum said that all men would eat from their bowl but stare at what's inside the pot. It is especially so when there's such a tasty piece of meat in the pot." Wang Xian didn't know about the conversation between the two girls after he left. When he got back into the dormitory, he took a shower and stretched his back. It had been extremely tiring for him over the last few days, as he was actively looking for Chinese bahaba fish and Atlantic bluefin marlin. However, just as he was about to get into bed, his expression changed. "Damn it, disturbing my rest." Wang Xian immediately put on his clothes, walked out of his dormitory, and ran quickly towards first-grade restaurant. In the wee hours of the day, he moved like a phantom. If one simply used his naked eyes, all he could see was a black figure flashing past him. "Brother-in-law, would there be a problem if we burned down his restaurant?" At the entrance of Old Street, a luxurious Bentley was parked at the left side of the road. Within the car, a young man was sitting in the driver's seat. Director Xie was sitting beside the driver's seat, and a young man was sitting in the back of the car. Rest assured, a restaurant catching fire is just a small issue. Moreover, what can they possibly do even if they can find some traces? The young man in the driver's seat said with indifference as he smoked. "Thank you, brother-in-law. If we didn't have you, I really wouldn't know what to do." Director Xie was sitting beside and kept a very low profile. "This is just a small issue. Look for me if you encounter any issues in Rivertown. I'll settle it for you," the young man said nonchalantly, as though burning down a famous restaurant was nothing in his eyes. "Brother-in-law is from one of the top ancient martial arts family in Rivertown. We weren't intending to disturb you initially and wanted to invite you over for a meal. However, we encountered this troublesome incident." Director Xie smiled. "Hee, it isn't too late if you invite me a few days from now. Come, let us enjoy the fireworks." The young man retracted the roof of the Bentley. "Fireworks, fireworks." The juvenile sitting in the back seat revealed an excited expression. Director Xie's lips curved slightly and gave a cold and faint smirk. He was already thinking of going to witness the despairing look on that brat the next day. "Mess with me? You aren't qualified. Although Xie family's influence isn't in Rivertown, I could still easily crush you." Director Xie took out a cigarette leisurely and waited patiently for the fireworks to start. Swoosh. However, they hadn't noticed a figure charging over from the side. Them? Wang Xian was still able to see the surroundings clearly while running. When his gaze swept past the Bentley convertible at the road junction, he had a thought. Swoosh. In the blink of an eye, Wang Xian had appeared at the entrance of the restaurant. There wasn't anyone around Old Street in the wee hours of the day, and all the shops were closed. At the location of first-grade restaurant, two figures were lying down on the floor. Dragon King. These two people tried to burn down first-grade restaurant. A burly old man stood at the entrance of first-grade restaurant, and he was none other than Imo Qinglong. With goods worth several tens of millions in first-grade restaurant currently, Wang Xian naturally wouldn't feel safe. Therefore, he had arranged for Imo Qinglong to guard this place at night. As Imo Qinglong was his bloodline descendant, he could contact Wang Xian through a unique method within a 3-kilometer radius. Martial artists? Wang Xian was surprised to see the two unconscious people on the ground. Yes, Dragon King. Both of them are level 5 martial artists and could be considered to be quite strong. Imo Qinglong said. 2 martial artists? When Wang Xian recalled the luxurious Bentley convertible at the road junction previously, an image of a young man surfaced in his mind. Who would have expected you guys to employ such despicable means? In that case, Wang Xian's eyes flickered and looked away from first-grade restaurant. In that case, I'll give you guys a fireworks show. Chapter 77. Beautiful Fireworks. Crack. Immobilize the two of them and follow me to meet the culprit behind this. A blazing fire suddenly rose as Wang Xian walked out from the Longxuan restaurant. With a scoffing look on his face, he walked towards the old street. Yes, Dragon King. Imo Qinglong, with a pair of passionate eyes, nodded respectfully. With just an arm's swing of the Dragon King just now, the place was engulfed by the blazing fire. Such formidable superpower. Even if his cultivation attained the inborn level, he could never duplicate that. Wang Xian enveloped the entire Longxuan restaurant with his fire attribute. Soon, the restaurant was burning. The fireworks are up. Haha, it's so beautiful. When the flames rose, the juvenile sitting in the Bentley sports car stood up as he watched the fireworks in the old street from a distance. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. Director Xie had an intoxicated look on his face. Haha, first-grade restaurant. How dare you fight with me? This is your end. Brother-in-law, thanks to you this time. No big deal. The young man flicked the ash off his cigarette with a slacking face. This was a piece of cake for him. He did not care about burning down a restaurant. When that young man finds out that his restaurant has been turned into ashes tomorrow, he probably will hug himself and cry. The juvenile stared at the firework in the distance with excitement. This is his end. Director Xie took a deep puff. Satisfying. Yes, the fireworks are beautiful. Stunningly gorgeous. Just then, an unfamiliar voice was heard suddenly from the car. Of course, when the juvenile heard this, he responded instinctively. But soon, he realized that something was amiss. The voice seemed to be coming from the seat next to him. But there should be no one beside him. He spun his head around and revealed a shocking look in his eyes. You. He pointed at Wang Xian with a look of disbelief. Who are you? The young man who was sitting in the driver's seat sensed an oppressive danger instantly. He stood up immediately and looked at Wang Xian with disbelief. He then swept his gaze across Imo Qinglong, who was standing next to the car. He had not sensed anyone near him. Me. Wang Xian revealed a playful expression when he saw the young man staring at him, shocked. Let them introduce me. How? How did you come in? Director Xie was also stunned when he turned around and saw Wang Xian in the car. Hey, don't be panicked. Look at the fireworks. They're so beautiful. Wang Xian looked at the distant fireworks with a smile. That place. No. That is, Director Xie noticed his composure, so he turned around to look carefully again. Subsequently, his body trembled as he spun and stared at Wang Xian with his bloodshot eyes. How dare you burn down my Longxuan restaurant? What? Longxuan restaurant is the one on fire? The juvenile was shocked, with mixed expressions on his face. Brother-in-law, kill him. Kill him. How dare he? Shut up. At this time, Renanji stared at Wang Xian and Imo Qinglong with wariness on his face. When he heard the juvenile's voice, he yelled at him in a cold voice. Immediately, the juvenile shut up upon hearing him, but he glared furiously at Wang Xian. Yes, that's the Longxuan restaurant. Look, now it is turned into fireworks. How beautiful. Wang Xian looked into the distance with a beaming face. Which family or sect are you from? Asked Renanji with a cold face. He did not dare to make any reckless moves as he could sense significant threats from them. Which family are you from then? Wang Xian turned around and looked at him with smiles on his face when he heard Renanji's question. Ren family in River Town, Renanji said emotionlessly. Oh, Ren family, ranked second in the ancient martial artist families of River Town. Quite a formidable family. Wang Xian drew his lips slightly when he listened to him. From Old Shui, he had already found out the rankings of the families in River Town. Ren family was in second place. The strongest martial artist was a level 8 elder in the Ren family. Together with another 2 level 7 martial artists, they made a powerful team. But to him, they were nothing if he just flicked his finger. Well, that's the end of the fireworks. Finish them off. Wang Xian slowly opened the door and instructed Imo Qinglong next to him. Yes, Dragon King. Imo Qinglong nodded as he stared at Renanji. Finish me off? Renanji was infuriated when he heard what Longxuan said. With a cold face, he said, "Let me tell you this. No matter who you are, the Ren family will not be afraid of you." "You talk too much," Imo Qinglong said impassively as he stretched out his arm to seize him. "Seeking your own death." Renanji was furious when he sensed Imo Qinglong's contempt. He curled his fingers into a fist and hurled at Imo Qinglong. "Too weak." Imo Qinglong shook his head gently. Without any additional movements, he grabbed Renanji's fist with no difficulties. "Oh no!" Renanji was horrified, with eyes full of disbelief. He was a level 5 expert. Ren family? Regardless of which family you're from, you'll need to pay a hefty price for provoking the Dragon King. Imo Qinglong said impassively. With a pair of fearful eyes, Renanji felt a powerful stream of internal energy gushing towards his elixir field. Ka. Sounds of cracks were heard. Renanji could not help but spit a mouthful of blood. His eyes were full of despair. You ruined my elixir field. You are actually a half-step to inborn." Feeling the intense pain from his body and the vast internal energy from the elder before him, he trembled in fear as the oppression continued to lurk in his heart, as if something heavy had fallen from the sky onto him. "Killing you or wiping the entire Ren family out is not a big deal." Imo Qinglong spoke to Renanji nonchalantly. "No, I beg you." Renanji narrowed his eyes as he pleaded desperately. "Imo Qinglong scoffed at him. With a swing, Renanji fell heavily on the car. Imo Qinglong then spun around to look at the remaining 2 people. "No, don't." Director Xie was appalled to see his mighty brother-in-law torpified. "It's too late." Imo Qinglong swung his arm again and hit the limbs of Director Xie with his immense energy. Director Xie was screaming in despair. "No, don't kill me, no." The juvenile was so petrified that he knelt in the car quickly. He was only 19, and he was about to enter the university. He had yet to experience so many wonderful things in life. "Useless thing." Imo Qinglong revealed a disdainful look. He swung his arm again, and the immense energy entered his body. All his limbs were crippled. Looking at the 3 people who were rolling in pain in the car, Longxuan sneered and headed to the school. "Let's settle the underworld matter in the underworld. You're welcome to seek revenge from me. If you dare to do any despicable things, this would not be the end," Imo Qinglong said coldly and returned to protecting the first-grade restaurant. "I'm doomed. I'm completely destroyed. Half-step to inborn." "He's actually a half-step to inborn expert." Renanji stared in the air blankly as he went into a trance. The previous slack, casual look was long gone. The fireworks in the distance seemed to be burning their souls away. Chapter 78. Famous throughout the country. First-grade restaurant is on fire. Longxuan restaurant has caught fire. First-grade restaurant's reputation had spread throughout the whole country. As for Longxuan restaurant, it was burned to ashes. On the night of the fire, someone reported it. After the fire was put out, the insides of Longxuan restaurant were blackened and charred. Everything had been destroyed in the fire. "Boss, we are famous. We are famous." The next morning, just as Wang Xian and Guan Shuqing arrived at first-grade restaurant, Manager Huang exclaimed in excitement. He passed the newspaper over and continued, "Boss, take a look. This is the morning paper of Rivertown. Our first-grade restaurant is now known throughout the town. Moreover, Longxuan restaurant is completely finished after they caught fire last night. They are unlikely to reopen in the future." "I already know about it." Wang Xian smiled. "We might be getting a little busier for the next few days, and we'll have to trouble Manager Huang to supervise the situation." Not a problem, not a problem." Manager Huang smiled as he shook his head. Wang Xian nodded his head and went into the office. With nothing to do, he switched on his computer and started playing. As a boss, he could do as he wished. Now that first-grade restaurant had started off well, he could just come over to play games. First-grade restaurant is in the headlines. Wang Xian clicked on a news article and had a radiant smile as he read about the introduction of first-grade restaurant. The article was titled, "Although I was surprised, I'm not exaggerating." When Wang Xian looked through the contents of that article, he smiled. After which, he continued browsing the internet and saw several news articles reporting about them. Among them, there were also articles from large media houses. One of the news articles was about Lin Qingying and first-grade restaurant. In that article, it was mentioned that Lin Qingying came to first-grade restaurant for a meal. She tried to use her fame and reputation of a food blogger to ask the boss to arrange a table for her. However, she was asked to wait by the boss directly. Even stars wouldn't receive special treatment. There were lots of comments under the news article, among which the most popular one was, "First-grade restaurant is incredible." In a food magazine, first-grade restaurant was promoted as the most incredible, most extravagant, and most luxurious restaurant. The three most clearly showed the strength of first-grade restaurant. Within a single day, first-grade restaurant was known throughout the country. There were even many customers from other cities who wished to head to first-grade restaurant to try out their food and take a look at the most incredible restaurant in the country. Amongst the media reports from Rivertown, there was also an assessment of the showdown between Longxuan restaurant and first-grade restaurant. The gist of the content was that first-grade restaurant completely ran over Longxuan restaurant. There were even videos of Lin Qingying being rejected directly by the boss circulating on the internet. Longxuan restaurant was utterly defeated. Together with that fire at night, one could only pity Longxuan restaurant. For the following days, the business of first-grade restaurant exploded. People who came here for meals weren't just from Rivertown. Tourists in Rivertown would all come to first-grade restaurant to try the food as long as they had the economic capacity to do so. Besides that, through some connections of Old Qin, first-grade restaurant was placed in the introduction of Rivertown's tourist spots. Currently, first-grade restaurant was classified as a must-go restaurant for anyone who came to Rivertown. With the local authorities' publicity, coupled with the reputation of first-grade restaurant had a full house each day. Its sales had also doubled from before. Two-headed abalone, Atlantic bluefin marlin, wild giant yellow croaker fish, and Chinese bahaba fish were all sold out. Xiaoxian, these are the sales figures over the last few days. I have also calculated the profits. Do take a look. On the fourth day, Guan Shuqing brought over the sales report to Wang Xian. Wang Xian took a look at it after receiving them from Guan Shuqing. First day sales, $770,000. Second day sales, $830,000. Third day sales, $970,000. Fourth day sales, $102,000. When Wang Xian saw these figures, excitement flashed in his eyes. These figures were really high and were several times as compared to before. However, from a different perspective, they weren't that high either. This was because they were achieved in a discounted period. Sales were $770,000 with 50% discount on the first day. Without discounts, it would be $1. 54 million. There were also 40% discounts on the second day, 30% discounts on the third day, and 20% discounts on the fourth day. On the fourth day, sales had broken through the $1 million mark. Moreover, with the current popularity of first-grade restaurant, the sales figures of $1 million a day would likely last for some time. It was especially so during the festive days when sales might be even higher. If he was lucky to have a customer order 3 two-headed abalone in a day, that would be over $1 million. Moreover, these abalones, lobsters, Atlantic bluefin marlin, and other variety of fish were all caught from the sea. There were no costs associated with them. Excluding the costs, I have earned approximately $2.5 million in 4 days. Wang Xian's lips curved into a smile. Although he was giving generous discounts over the last few days, he wasn't too concerned as there was no cost associated with the world-class ingredients. Based on this pace, he could earn more than $10 million in a month. Naturally, this had to be based on having a steady supply of world-class ingredients. Wang Xian's mind was thinking quickly and a smile appeared gradually. The issue with the supply of ingredients could be left to Roving Girl. With Roving Girl's current strength, catching some world-class seafood shouldn't be a problem at all. Bees easy, bees easy, bees easy. At this moment, Wang Xian's phone rang suddenly. He took it up, took a look, and a radiant smile appeared on his face. Xiao Yu, brother. I'll be going to the University of Rivertown with Xiaomi and some other friends who got in too. At that time, come and fetch me. From the phone, the voice of his sister, Xiao Yu, sounded. What time are you arriving tomorrow? Wang Xian asked. Unknowingly, the semester of the university was about to start and his sister, Xiao Yu, would also be going to the same school as him. We will be reaching Rivertown High-Speed Rail Station tomorrow at 10 a.m. At that time, you have to bring us around. Relax. I, your brother, guarantee to be there on time. As he hung up the phone with a face of smiles, Wang Xian looked at today's date. The first-year students of the University of Rivertown had 3 days to report to the school. This was to ensure that students who were from a more distant place would have ample time. Xiao Yu and her friends were a little early and would be arriving a day in advance. There would also be a few other high school students who made it into the University of Rivertown. To be precise, there were 8 of them. Xiao Xian, your sister will be arriving tomorrow? Guan Shuqing overheard his phone conversation and asked inquisitively. Yeah. Wang Xian nodded his head. For the following 2 days, I'll be bringing my sister around to have some fun. Therefore, I won't have time to come to the restaurant. In that case, have a good time with Xiao Yu over the next 2 days. There are still 3 days to the official start of school after all, replied Guan Shuqing. Yeah. Wang Xian nodded his head and sank into his thoughts. He was thinking of giving her a huge surprise this time. The next morning, after finishing his breakfast, Wang Xian arrived at the high-speed rail station to wait for the arrival of his sisters. At 10 a.m., a group of young guys and girls walked out from the high-speed rail station. There were 8 of them, 3 girls and 5 boys. One of the girls was around 1.6 meters in height. She wasn't very tall and was slightly slim. However, she had an exquisite face. She did not have any makeup on, looked very quiet, and gave others the feeling of a girl next door. Chapter 79. The Admirer of the Younger Sister. Xiao Yu, brother. At the exit of the high-speed railway station, Wang Xian called out to his sister, who was carrying a backpack. When Xiao Yu saw him, she was so thrilled that she dashed towards him. Brother. Xiao Yu jumped onto Wang Xian. With an exhilarated face, she hugged his neck and called out happily. All right, you're a big girl now. Why are you still so clingy? Wang Xian patted her head and put her down. Hee hee. Xiao Yu chuckled as she got down from him. Brother, let me introduce you to our hometown friends who were admitted to University of Rivertown this year. Xiao Yu smiled as she introduced the 7 people who were walking over to Wang Xian. Hello, Senior Wang Xian. A pleasant-looking girl greeted Wang Xian immediately. Hi, Xiaomi. Wang Xian nodded as he smiled at the girl. Xiaomi was his sister's best friend, and her family was quite well-to-do. Hence, she often took care of Xiao Yu. Hello, Senior. The rest of the people observed Wang Xian and greeted him. Where are you guys heading to? The school doesn't provide accommodation today, so you may need to stay outside for a night. Wang Xian looked at them. He then turned to Xiao Yu and asked, Are you hungry? Do you want to have something to eat? No, I'm not. We're going to find a motel near the school and stay for a night. Then, we intend to tour around Rivertown during the next 2 days. Oh, where are we going now? Asked Xiao Yu to the people behind her. Let's get some stuff today. We'll do our tour after we report to the school tomorrow. A juvenile with a sling bag asked, We didn't bring many things with us, so we need to get stuff like computers. Senior Wang Xian, do you know where we can get them? It would be a lot of fun to play tomorrow if we settled our things today. Yes, we can get our things today and put them in our dormitory tomorrow. Senior, please take us to places where we can shop for our stuff. Another juvenile echoed in agreement. Sure. Wang Xian looked at them and nodded. He reached out for Xiao Yu's bag and said, Let's go. We'll have something simple in a restaurant, and I'll bring you guys to the city center to shop for your stuff. Yes, Senior. The The rest of them nodded their heads and headed outside. Senior, how's life at the university? Is it fun? A juvenile walked beside Longxuan and asked. It's all right. You will have some freedom since the school is not that strict. Longxuan chuckled. Senior, you can take us to a better restaurant. I'll be buying lunch for all of us. At this time, a juvenile spoke. He was dressed in Trini clothes with a pair of golden frame spectacles without any lenses. On his back, he carried a Hermes bag. As he spoke, he turned to look at Xiaoyu. Xiaoyu, what would you like to eat? It's okay, Jiawenrui. I'll eat anything. Sensing the attention of the juvenile, Xiaoyu shook her head with uneasiness. It's okay. We'll eat whatever you want, Jiawenrui continued with a thick skin. Ask them what they want. I don't have any preference. Xiaoyu shook her head and looked at Longxuan. Longxuan smiled at her. He was not surprised when Xiaoyu had admirers. After all, his sister was pretty too. I want to have Japanese food. Let's have Japanese food, Wenrui. A girl walked beside Jiawenrui and replied as she leaned closer to him. Jiawenrui hesitated when he saw the tall and slim girl. She was a totally different kind of girl from Xiaoyu. She was tall with a height of 1.7 meters, and her figure was hot. She had a pretty face, sharp chin, tall nose, and a slim face. Even though she looked pretty, her face looked as though it was from a mold, just like those online celebrities with plastic surgery faces. Moreover, the traces of plastic surgery were evident. She had makeup on her face with Chanel clothes and bag on her. She was a girl who came from a wealthy family. Forget about having Japanese food in the afternoon. It's a waste of time. Besides, we've got too many of us. It's a little troublesome. Longxuan suggested, let's have something simple first, and I'll take you to seafood tonight. Upon hearing Longxuan, the girl frowned slightly with unhappiness flashing in her eyes. How would having Japanese food be a waste of time? Besides, it's delicious. I bet you haven't had it before. Forget it. Let's not have Japanese food. We will have something simple for lunch. Jiawenrui told the girl, let's do the Japanese food tomorrow. Fine. The girl was displeased, but she did not refute Jiawenrui. Instead, she continued to chat beside him. While Jiawenrui was chatting beside that girl, his eyes often drifted to Xiaoyu. But Xiaoyu was talking happily with Longxuan and Xiaomi as they were sharing their funny stories about their driving lesson during the summer break. Let's take a cab to the city center. We can take a rest after lunch and shop for stuff over there. The group of people nodded to Longxuan's suggestion. The group divided into 3 per cab. Longxuan, Xiaoyu, and Xiaomi shared a cab. Xiaoyu, that handsome guy just now seems to like you. When they were in the cab, Longxuan beamed to Xiaoyu as he spoke. Heh, Xiaoyu lifted her chin with some pride but shook her head subsequently. I don't like Jiawenrui. He seems cheeky and thick-skinned. I prefer the type of people similar to my brother. Brother, I haven't seen you for such a long time, and you have become even more good-looking. Isn't it so, Xiaomi? Senior Longxuan really became more attractive. Xiaomi looked at Longxuan and replied with her cheeks blushed. Hee, of course. My brother is the most handsome and kindest person. Xiaoyu smiled and continued, if I'm getting a boyfriend, I must find someone like my brother. Longxuan chuckled. He turned to Xiaoyu and reminded her, I'm telling you, you are allowed to date when you're in the university, but the guy must be good enough. Otherwise, you know me. Yes, brother. But I'm not preparing to date when I'm schooling unless I meet someone like you. Xiaoyu laughed. The happiest thing for her was to be able to attend school with her brother. A boyfriend was nothing to her. I have my brother, right? Longxuan nodded with satisfaction. The cars reached the city center. The group of 9 people came to a building and had some lunch. After the generous Jiawenrui fought to pay for the bill, the bunch of youngsters began to shop excitedly. All the girls traveled here lightweight. Their parents must have given them money to shop for their clothes and stuff. Longxuan also noticed those youngsters were quite well off. Let's go shopping. I want to buy a computer and some clothes. After lunch, everyone was excited. Let's buy some clothes first. They're lighter to carry, Longxuan suggested to them. Yes, senior. Zhao Rui nodded and asked with a smile, Senior, where can we buy branded clothes here? I also want to get a bag. I've been carrying this for half a year. It's time to change, the girl that looked like some online celebrities said with a sense of superiority. After some chats during lunch, Wang Xian found out that this girl was called Jiang Shuang. Wan Rui, Jiang Shuang, both of you are nouveau riches. We can't afford branded stuff, but we can join in for fun, the rest of the boys said with envy. Hee hee, it's nothing. Let's see if we have time in the afternoon. I'll buy a car. I took $200,000 from my parents to buy a car for daily transportation. Zhao Rui smiled as he spoke, but his eyes were full of egotism. Wow, you're rich, the boys exclaimed in surprise with an envious look. I'll take you guys there. Let's go. Wang Xian gazed at the few people who were showing off, with a faint smile on his face. Chapter 80. Luxurious Shopping 1. Sunan Shopping Mall is the largest mall in Rivertown and carries many worldwide brands. Let's go to this mall. Wang Xian led them into the mall. He had been to this mall once and spent over $50,000 on 3 sets of clothes. All right, let's go then. Zhao Rui smiled and walked in. The guys section is on the 2nd floor and the girls section is at level 3. Let's head to the 2nd floor first. I'd like to get 2 sets of clothes. Zhao Rui's lips curved into a smile as he spoke to the group behind him. All right, let's follow and take a look. The other guys smiled and followed Zhao Rui. It was clear that Zhao Rui was rich and had treated them to meals. Therefore, they were seeing him as the leader of the group. Let's go. Zhao Rui waved his hand and walked at the front of the group. Xiaoyu held on to Wang Xian's arm and followed behind while looking at the surroundings. When the group arrived at the 2nd floor, Zhao Rui headed to the Armani specialty store and walked in confidently. The group followed. When they saw the price tags on the clothes, the group of guys couldn't help but shake their heads. It's so expensive. Just a casual shirt costs $700 to $800. There are even some that cost a few thousand, Xiaoyu said to Wang Xian. Yeah, it's a worldwide brand, and it's natural that the price isn't cheap. Wang Xian nodded his head. Yeah, it's really expensive. Even I can't afford such luxurious clothes. Xiaomi stuck out her tongue and said, Is it expensive? At this moment, Jiang Shuang's voice sounded from the side. She gave an indifferent look at Xiaoyu and commented, A $700 to $800 shirt is common. Armani is worldwide. Wearing it naturally allows one to have a different disposition. One's disposition has a lot to do with the clothes they are wearing. You wouldn't understand even if I explained to you. Jiang Shuang had a slightly arrogant look on her and was clearly looking down on Xiaoyu and Xiaomi. It was especially so for Xiaoyu. All her clothes together wouldn't cost more than $200, and yet she was able to attract the attention of Zhao Rui. This made her really jealous of Xiaoyu. When Xiaoyu heard her comments, she pouted slightly. However, she didn't say anything. She knew that she couldn't compete with others when it came to money, and she didn't want to make such comparisons. Wang Xian looked plainly at Jiang Shuang. Xiaoyu, what do you think about these clothes on me? At this moment, Zhao Rui had just changed into a new set of clothes. He walked in front of Xiaoyu. It's pretty good. Xiaoyu answered perfunctorily and nodded her head. Wan Rui, I feel that a blue shirt would look better on you. Although white matches well with black, blue would be more suitable. Jiang Shuang immediately walked over to Zhao Rui from the side and suggested to him. It's all right, I'll just take these. Zhao Rui smiled and shook his head at Jiang Shuang. After which, he turned to Wang Xian and said, Senior, let me pick a set of clothes and gift them to you. When Wang Xian heard the sudden words from Zhao Rui, he shook his head and replied, Thank you. That's not necessary. It's fine. Zhao Rui smiled and looked to Xiaoyu. You are Xiaoyu's brother, and I'll need to get on your good books. Moreover, a set of clothes only costs a few thousands, and that's nothing to me. I hope that our relationship could be better. Hee hee. As Zhao Rui spoke, he had a confident smile on. He knew the family conditions of Xiaoyu and Wang Xian. Therefore, he was very confident. He believed that he was really outstanding to the point that Xiao Yu, and even her brother, wouldn't possibly reject him. Therefore, Jia Wenrui didn't say it in a more subtle way. Upon hearing his words, Xiao Yu frowned slightly. Wang Xian also raised his eyebrows. He noticed Xiao Yu's response and said directly, "It's all right. You are not the type my sister is fond of, so you wouldn't have to do so." He knew that Xiao Yu wasn't fond of Jia Wenrui but was too shy to reject him. Therefore, he said it for her and rejected him directly. Jia Wenrui's face stiffened upon hearing Wang Xian's words and was speechless. A face-to-face rejection. Moreover, it's a direct and clear rejection. This made him feel shameful. The surrounding people were also slightly shocked. They had not expected Wang Xian to be so direct in his rejection of Jia Wenrui. When Jiang Shuang heard Wang Xian's reply, a tinge of joy flashed in her eyes. However, when she saw the embarrassment on Jia Wenrui's face, she quickly walked in front of him and said, "Wenrui, you are really outstanding. It's her who is not deserving of you. Your family conditions are great, and you are good-looking. There would be many girls who would be fond of you. Senior, aren't you going a little overboard by being so direct? You should at least give him some face," a guy by the side said to Wang Xian after noticing the displeasure on Jia Wenrui's face. "I was just speaking the truth," Wang Xian said with indifference. "Tisk, all right, I thought too much into this." Jia Wenrui looked a little embarrassed. He stared at Wang Xian and sneered. Since Senior couldn't tell who's sincere, forget it then. Wang Xian smiled and didn't say another word. In his eyes, these guys in front of him were still too young and childish. Arrogant, show-off, childish, materialistic. Wenrui, why go and try to get on the good books of an inferior person? Do you still want to get some clothes? I'll help you pick some. Jiang Shuang looked at him and tried to console him. "It's fine." Jia Wenrui shook his head while looking at Jiang Shuang. "Let's go get your clothes. I'll buy a set for you." "Really? You are the best, Wenrui." Jiang Shuang was taken aback and spoke in ecstasy. "Let's go." Jia Wenrui took a glance at Wang Xian and Xiao Yu with a heavy expression before heading to the third floor. Jiang Shuang was full of smiles as she followed behind, and the group of guys quickly followed too. Wang Xian saw that the group had left before looking to Xiao Yu and Xiaomi by her side. He shrugged his shoulders and asked, "Do you all still want to follow them?" Xiaomi had a bitter look and looked to Xiao Yu. "We don't belong to the same circle as them. Why don't we go on our own?" "Yeah." Xiao Yu nodded her head. She hesitated before adding, "We are really not the same kind. Let's not follow them. After all, we will not be in the same class in the future." All right. Let's go. Didn't I say I'd get you a big gift before school starts? Let's go up too." Wang Xian looked at her and smiled. Brother, why don't we head back? Bring us to somewhere more interesting." Xiao Yu lifted her head and looked at him. "We can leave that for tomorrow. Let's get you some stuff today." Wang Xian's lips curved into a smile as he said to Xiao Yu, "It will be fine. Just follow me." "Brother, what are we doing upstairs?" Xiao Yu asked in doubt. "Of course, to buy things." Wang Xian smiled and pulled her to the lift. It's all right, brother. The clothes here are too expensive." Xiao Yu shook her head immediately. "Don't argue. Just follow." Wang Xian turned his head around and spoke with a strong tone. "Oh." Seeing her brother acting this way, Xiao Yu pouted and simply followed. The third floor was entirely for the ladies. Various worldwide brands were all gathered on this floor. When they arrived at the third floor, Wang Xian looked straight to a shop. Prada. There's a rather famous movie called The Queen Who Wears Prada. Prada was a luxury brand among luxury brands. It was an existence of the highest tier. It shall be this shop then. Chapter 81. Luxurious Shopping 2. "Come over. Both of you stay beside me." Wang Xian tugged on Xiao Yu's arm as he spoke to her. "Brother, forget it. I know you're making some money, but it's too expensive here." Xiao Yu looked at those luxury brands around her with her eyebrows knit. She knew that her brother was making some money, but she also understood how hard it was for her brother to work for it. She had remained thrifty since young. Hence, she had no desire for these branded clothes except for the practical stuff. Moreover, the clothes here were too expensive. How much money could her brother have? Just follow me. Wang Xian's heart ached for his sister as he stroked her hair. Girls at her age often asked for money to buy clothes and makeup, but his sister was unwilling to spend money on expensive food just to save up. Xiaoyu, stop being naggy and follow me today. I know how much I have and how much I can spend. I'm not spending it blindly. Wang Xian stared at Xiaoyu and said solemnly, Well, fine then. Upon seeing the serious look on her brother's face, Xiaoyu was touched as she held his hand. That's better. Follow me. With a smile on his face, Wang Xian walked straight into the Prada store. Welcome. The greeters at the door immediately greeted them. Wang Xian brought them around as he looked at the clothes. He nodded with satisfaction and told the salesgirl, Get them a set of clothes each. I want pretty clothes that are suitable for their age. The salesgirl was slightly stunned as she looked at Xiaoyu and Xiaomi hastily. She nodded. Yes, sir. Ladies, please come over here. It's the summer season now, and girls look the best in skirts. This is the most popular Prada skirt series this year. Both of you look like students. This series suits students the most. The salesgirl introduced the clothes to Xiaoyu and Xiaomi enthusiastically. Xiaoyu was stunned. She saw the dresses which the salesgirls were holding onto. They were pretty, but her gaze drifted to the price tag. $33,299. That was the price of the skirt. Brother, this place, we better go to other. Xiaoyu was anxious when she saw the rocket-high prices. How could she afford such expensive clothes? Wang Xian stroked her head and took out a bank card from his pocket. Today, let's just finish off the money on the card. It was the diamond card from Agricultural Bank of China with more than 5 million. Wang Xian was not short on money now. When he treated Little Kite the other time, the card that old Qin gave him had 20 million on it. With the revenue his first-grade restaurant was earning, he had difficulties spending his money away. As Wang Xian spoke, he handed the salesgirl the card. Bring them the clothes. The salesgirl was stupefied with the diamond card Wang Xian handed to her. As an experienced salesperson, she knew the card well. Forget about how much money was stored inside. It was definitely enough even if it was overdraft consumption. Yes, sir. I'll be choosing the clothes for them, said the salesgirl excitedly. Brother, did you make a fortune? Xiaoyu could not help but ask when she saw his generosity. Here, ladies, let's try on the clothes and see which skirt looks the best, the salesgirl said to them. Wang Xian smiled at Xiaoyu. Without answering her question, he beckoned to her to go with the salesgirl. Senior Wang Xian, you can get the clothes for Xiaoyu. I don't need it. Xiaomi shook her head. She knew that Xiaoyu had only her brother to depend on, and their life was tough. It's okay. Go ahead. Thank you for taking care of Xiaoyu for such a long time. Wang Xian smiled at her and said, Just go. This? Xiaomi hesitated. Xiaoyu, drag your best friend along. Upon seeing Xiaomi's look, Wang Xian instructed his sister. Xiaomi was a nice and innocent girl, and both of them were on good terms. Xiaoyu had been staying in Xiaomi's house for the entire summer holiday. He would treat anyone good to Xiaoyu nicely. The salesgirl called upon another 2 salesgirls before they began to let Xiaoyu and Xiaomi try on the clothes. After she changed into a refined dress, Xiaoyu became more beautiful and gorgeous. Wang Xian was delighted with the look. Sir, look at the clothes your sister is wearing. After school reopens, she can wear them for a very long time. The salesgirl beamed at Wang Xian. Good. I'll take this. The one on Xiaomi looks good too. What do you think? If you think they are good, just get them packed for you, Wang Xian said directly. This is not bad too. Pack it for me. Senior Wang Xian, I'll take this one. The rest are fine. It's too expensive. Okay, I'll buy a bag for you when I get one for Xiaoyu later. Wang Xian nodded to Xiaomi. After paying for their items, the 3 sets of clothes cost a total of $100,300. Let's go. After these 2 dresses, we need to get other styles too. Let's get another 2 more sets. Wang Xian smiled and spoke with the bags of clothes in his hand. After shopping in the Prada shop, Wang Xian dragged Xiaoyu out while she was still in bewilderment. "Brother, why do you have so much money?" Xiaoyu asked in disbelief. "I own a restaurant now." You'll find out tonight. Today's mission is to finish off the card." Wang Xian flashed his card again and laughed. "Xiaoyu, your brother is really awesome now," Xiaomi exclaimed in bewilderment. "Let's go. This one, Louis Vuitton." Wang Xian headed to the shop in front of him. Louis Vuitton, the world's biggest luxury brand, also known as the often said LV. Wang Xian was a traditional man. Once he was rich, he wanted to get the best things for his sister. "Welcome." The salesgirl immediately greeted them with a smile as soon as she saw them strolling in. Wang Xian observed the shop. Women's clothes, bags. Just nice. He would get them all. "Pick 2 sets of clothes for her," Wang Xian told the salesgirl and turned to Xiaoyu and Xiaomi. "Take a look and choose your favorite bag." Soon, they got 2 sets of clothes and 2 bags with more than $140,000 spent on the card. After they came out of the shop, Xiaoyu recovered slightly from the shock and asked Wang Xian with a smiling face, "Brother, how much money does your card have? Do you intend to make me into a little princess?" "You'll know it after you're done. Let's go. We have clothes and bags now. Girls must have shoes. Oh, and some accessories and cosmetics even though you're a natural beauty." Wang Xian smiled at Xiaoyu. "Let's go, little princess. Off to level 4. Charge. My brother has become a rich man. I'm a rich man's sister." Xiaoyu was thrilled as she regained the sweet and adorable side of her. She skipped her way up to level 4 for more shopping. Chapter 82. Luxurious Shopping 3. "Brother, we have already spent over $70,000 on skincare products. How much money is left on the card? All items we have bought add up to over $300,000. Walking out from the Lancome shop, Wang Xian had a few other things in his hands. Currently, his hands were full of bags. However, with his current strength, it was an easy task to carry all these. "Let's go on. We haven't gotten any shoes." Wang Xian smiled. He was also very delighted to see his sister being so jubilant. This was the first time he could buy her things without reserve. There's a watch shop right there. You guys can go and take a look first while I organize the things in my hands. There are too many bags right now," Wang Xian said to his sister. "Senior, let us help you with some of those," Xiaomi said, feeling a little embarrassed. Wang Xian shook his head and smiled. "It's fine. These aren't heavy anyway. Go and take a look first while I organize these." "All right, I'll go with Xiaomi then. Brother, you can be our bodyguard today. Hee. Xiaoyu smiled as she pulled along Xiaomi into the Patek Philippe watch shop. When the two of them entered, they saw a group of familiar people immediately. Longxuan was in front of the cabinet, trying out the watches. "The price of this watch is a little over $37,000. It's a discounted item in our shop and looks great on you," the store attendant said to Jiang Shuang. Jiang Shuang looked at the watch on her and was truly fond of it. However, her family only gave her $60,000 this time. If she bought this, she would be a little tight on money. Therefore, she was a little hesitant. Why did they follow us here? At this moment, a guy behind her was surprised to see Xiaoyu and Xiaomi walk into the shop. "We didn't follow you guys here. We are here to take a look at our own accord," Xiaomi looked at them and said. Xiaoyu saw Jiao Wenrui and the group look over but didn't pay attention to them. She walked over to the cabinet in front of her and started looking at the watches within it. "These watches are so expensive." Xiaoyu was a little shocked by the prices of these watches. As compared to luxury bags, the prices of watches were even more eye-popping. Just a casual watch would cost $30,000 to $40,000. There were even some that cost over $100,000, or even several hundreds of thousands. Patek Philippe is a world-class watch brand. A good watch could cost as much as a luxury car, Xiaomi reminded her from the side. Xiaoyu's jaw dropped open. She looked into the cabinet and saw a watch that cost $80,000. "This watch is so beautiful. Hey salesgirl, Can you take this out for us to take a look? Xiaomi said to a salesgirl standing at the side. Tisk, shameless. At this moment, Jiang Shuang, who was sitting a short distance away and trying out a watch, looked over at Xiao Yu and Xiaomi with deep contempt. You guys should take a look at the price of the watch. Can you guys even afford it? Taking a look? Can you all pay for it if you scratch it? When the salesgirl heard what Jiang Shuang said, she looked at Xiaomi and Xiao Yu with hesitation. They were wearing very ordinary clothes. It was especially so for Xiao Yu. In fact, one could say that her clothes were of rather poor quality. They weren't wearing any accessories and didn't look like they could afford the watch at all. Are you sure you're buying? The salesgirl in front of Jiang Shuang asked them. Xiaomi and Xiao Yu were furious upon hearing this. This was their first time in such a luxury watch shop, and it was natural for them to feel angry when being questioned in such a way by the salesgirl. Can't I try it if I'm not sure? Xiaomi replied angrily. She knew that Xiao Yu's brother was rich and could afford it. Hee, not sure? Jiang Shuang laughed in a condescending manner. She looked at them and added, Can you guys afford it? Can't you see the price on it? You should have taken a look at yourself. If you can't afford it, it's better if you don't try it on, the salesgirl said after hearing the words of the customer in front of her. Did you see this? If you don't have the money, don't shop around here and waste everyone's time, Jiang Shuang mocked. The words of the salesgirl and Jiang Shuang made the faces of Xiaomi and Xiao Yu turn red rapidly. They were all 18 to 19 years old girls and naturally wouldn't have encountered such mockery and belittlement. Who says that we can't afford it? Xiaomi was seething in anger. Her eyes had turned a little red, from both anger and embarrassment. TSK Jiang Shuang sneered and stood up directly. She said to the salesgirl in front of her, I'll be taking this watch on me. Please wrap it up for me. Thank you, miss. Thank you, miss. That salesgirl was thrilled and immediately walked over. I'll be paying by card. Jiang Shuang held out a bank card. Xiao Yu. At this moment, Jiao Wenrui suddenly walked over to Xiao Yu, who looked ghastly. He took a glance at the watch in the cabinet. If you like it, I'll buy it for you, but you have to be my girlfriend. Jiao Wenrui put on a strong front. He stared intensely at Xiao Yu and continued, I can give you a life that you could never imagine. All you have to do is to agree to be my girlfriend, and you wouldn't have to suffer with your brother. All you have to do is to agree, and you will never have to be looked down on by a salesgirl in a shop. Jiao Wenrui revealed a confident look. He knew that his words could definitely move a girl. To him, no one would choose to not pursue a better life. As long as she was with him, he was able to provide. Wenrui. Jiang Shuang was shocked upon hearing Jiao Wenrui. Her face quickly sank and turned hideous as she walked over. Wenrui, she's just a little brat from a village. Her dressing is bad and her family is poor. Why would you? Shut up. At this moment, a cold shout pierced through the atmosphere. Even the temperature in the whole shop seemed to have fallen by several degrees. Wang Xian happened to overhear Jiao Wenrui's words when he walked in after organizing the bags in his hand. He also heard what the girl with the online celebrity's face said about his sister. This made his face twitch with anger. Brother? Xiao Yu saw Wang Xian and immediately walked to him. Her face was still a little red with embarrassment and anger. Senior Wang Xian. Xiaomi also walked over. Wang Xian looked condescendingly at Jiang Shuang and Jiao Wenrui. Thrash. Thrash that is so full of yourself just because your family is rich. Wang Xian looked coldly at Jiao Wenrui and continued, TSK. Give my sister a life she cannot imagine? With how you are currently. Do you know how much these things in my hands are? Did your parents give you enough money? Salesgirl, get me the most expensive and the best female watch in this shop. Wang Xian placed the things in his hands on the cabinet as he spoke coldly. Clothes from Prada, bags and clothes from LV, skincare products from Lancome. All of them were the latest design. One of the salesgirls saw the 7 to 8 bags on the cabinet and was surprised. These things would most likely cost $200,000 to $300,000. All right, a salesgirl quickly replied. Sir, these are the best female watches we have. This watch has diamonds embedded at this spot and sapphire here. This watch. Payment by card, Wang Xian said as he pointed to the watch he felt looked the best. Sir, are you really going to buy? This watch costs $888,000. Are you sure? The voice of the salesgirl was trembling. Wrap it up. Wang Xian threw the card on it directly. Yes, sir. That salesgirl was thrilled. What a rich tycoon to spend $888,000 without batting an eye. Get your manager here, Wang Xian said coldly to the salesgirl. Yes, sir. That salesgirl was shocked and quickly ran to a small storage room at the back. A middle-aged woman walked out and looked at Wang Xian. With a warm tone, she greeted, Sir, thank you for visiting Patek Philippe. Is there anything you need? My sister was here a while ago and was looked down on by your salesgirl. Give me an explanation, Wang Xian said to the middle-aged manager with an indifferent tone. The middle-aged manager was shocked and frowned at the salesgirl. As an international brand, they had very high demands for the quality of service and cared a lot about word of mouth. Now, this young customer who spent $888,000 without batting an eye was questioning her directly and wanted her to give him an explanation. In such a scenario, she really had to give him an explanation. Everyone around was dumbfounded. When Zhao Wenrui heard Wang Xian calling him thrash, he had wanted to retort. However, when he saw the luxury goods in his hands, he was stunned. He knew very clearly about these things. The prices of these items in Xiao Yu's brother's hand weren't cheap. He was even more shocked when he saw Xiao Yu's brother buy a female watch that cost $888,000 immediately. At the same time, Longxuan was watching Wang Xian's actions in disbelief. He bought an $888,000 female watch without batting an eye. The other young men were even more shocked. $88,000, $888,000 for a single watch. Didn't they say that Xiao Yu and her brother only had each other since young and had a tough life? This is what they consider tough? You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.